happy to see all of you here. This is exciting. We are excited. We're pumped up, and I hope you paid attention to that last song. That's The Power of Love, and we're going to use that for our intro every time we come back from a break. Every time we intro and exit, we're going to hear The Power of Love, and we think that's kind of perfect. Tony, say hello.
Hey, hi, everybody. So nice to see you all. So now I know it's really early in the morning for some of us out here on the West Coast. I am not generally a morning person, so this is a real challenge for me, but I'm awake, so I'm very happy. I know you East Coasters, it's a little later in the day, so just really, really happy to be here, really happy to see all of you. I see Jackie, I see Natalie, I see so many people. Elaine is there. Hi, Elaine. How wonderful to be here at Unblock, Unlock, and Rock. I'm Reverend Tony Ponicello. I'm the Executive Minister, Community Miracle Center, and it has been my life's passion and dedication for the last 35 years to be at the pinnacle of that organization and working with a great group of people. And now for the last few months, working with Deb here to put this conference on. And it's been a wonderful process. We had a great time last night at the VIP reception. For those of you who were there, that was terrific. And we got to know each other a little bit, and we'll get to know each other even more all throughout this next 3 days. So once again, I want to do a shout out for all the people that are behind the scenes that you won't see but are making this happen. We have Chuck and Larry who work for Full Service Events, and they have a crew of people that are helping them. And we have Danella, who is working for Elite Events. She's our event manager, and she has a whole crew of people that are helping her. So it takes a lot of people to put this on. So, let's just give a nice shout out to them. Woohoo! Yay! Yeah, thank you all. Thank you, everybody who is helping to put this on.
Thanks, Tony. And I'm Deb Kanja, and as Reverend Tony said, that I've been with the Community Miracle Center working on this conference, but I've been a student of the course for something like 26 years. It's my passion, it's my path, and we are so excited and really feel privileged to be able to share all of this from our heart. And as Reverend Tony said, last night was really fun. We saw a lot of people. I see a lot of you here. I see John over here. We can see you. I have to give a shout out. I can't see it right now, but is it Delia had this awesome picture of an owl for her picture. I love that. So I wanted to give a shout out to her. But we're really, really pleased to have you here. We know that over these next 3 days, we're going to have an opportunity to not only get to know each other, but to share and to go deeper into our study of the course and deeper into our experience of unblocking the things that are in the way of our moving forward on our spiritual path, unlocking our gifts, and then taking that out into the world, rocking the world. So we're really excited about that. And there are going to be I'm going to go through some housekeeping items to let you know what to expect. First of all, I want to say that, if you're familiar with Zoom, there's a chat function in Zoom. And if you found the chat function, what we hope you'll be able to do is use that chat function to share with each other, to chat, to tell everybody where are you from so that you can find other people who are from your area or people maybe who are from where you were from. And you can connect with them. You can also highlight people in that it says to everyone when you're chatting, but you can find other attendees in that chat, and you can chat back and forth. And you can share contact information if you want to, or messages or whatever. So the chat is your opportunity to really share with each other, get to know each other, and enjoy being here in a community. So we're real excited. And we'll be looking at the chat also. So if you have questions, if you've got questions, stick them in the chat because that'll come up. We'll see it. The team will see it, and then we'll be able to respond to you. Do you have any other thoughts about that?
We're looking at the chat, and it's great to see it all. So yeah, please use it. And I'm just really grooving on all the people that I know and and some who I don't, but I just know your names from the registration. So I'm just so honored, actually, and a little humbled right here at this moment to be here with all of you, and that you all chose to take this experience and this journey with us. So just a lot of gratitude in my heart right now at this moment.
What's for breakfast? I don't know. I had some Coke. I don't know, and that's not too exciting. Team, can we start the clock? And also, what we'll do is, I want to say a shout out to Lydia. We saw you briefly, Reverend Lydia. We saw you briefly last night in the reception. We knew you had to leave, but I wanted to give you a shout out because you're from Michigan, my home state. Thank you. Glad you're here. Nice to see you here. I see Monica. I see Paul, Tambra, Celia. It's nice to see all of you here. Elizabeth Welch, hi. Nice to see you. I called her out. So I'm gonna go through some slides here that are gonna explain, so I can explain to you what we're gonna be doing. And we'll start with our team. Is our first one up there? I don't see that. Yep. Center. There we go. Okay. Are we good? All right. So
there we go.
Let's talk about, I know all of you are probably real familiar with Zoom by now, but webcam etiquette. If you are a person who doesn't mind having your webcam on, sometimes, when I'm in a Zoom meeting, I don't turn my camera on. Okay, true confessions here, but it really helps the energy, not only for us because we can see you and then we can chat with you, but also for everybody else because this is like a big family meeting in a way. We can see each other and we can chat together. But if you have to leave for a reason and you go to the restroom, please, and you take, you might take your phone with you because you don't want to miss anything, please turn off your video and your audio because, it's happened. And, it can happen again. And we have this awesome tech team, and they've caught a lot of things and saved people from a lot of embarrassment. But I'm just giving you that little heads up right there. Sound. So all of you should be muted now, and sometimes we'll unmute you, and sometimes you'll be muted again. But some of the older systems, they don't coordinate that smoothly maybe with Zoom on the sound, and your sound might not be off, which can also be kind of embarrassing. So please check that little microphone in the corner and make sure you've got the red line slashed through it so that you know that your sound is off. And if you notice a problem, if you notice somebody is like having a phone conversation or they're having a conversation that they think should be private, you just put it in the chat. Don't call them out by last name, but just say, that's giving us a heads up to go in there and manually mute someone. And believe me, if you're on the other end of that, you'll be real appreciative that someone bothered to help you out. So this is about staying on schedule. This is not a regular, maybe virtual event. It's not like a webinar, and it's not like a summit. Usually, you get a list of speakers, and I know people are asking us, when are the speakers going to be on? Because I want to pop in and out to hear my favorite speakers. And we'll talk about this a little bit later about why we're doing it this way, but what we've designed is an immersive 3-day experience designed to take you from, and us too, from unblocking beliefs that are getting in our way and identifying, okay, what might be keeping us from all that we desire, all that we hope for in our lives, all that we really want for other people that we care about, and then unlocking where we want to go from there and how we might take that out and show up in the world. And that's sort of it's a journey, and it's not just popping in and out. So that's why we would ask that you be here to get the full benefit of that. It's a 3-day workshop, and the sessions, they're designed to build one on the next, on the next. So for you to get a maximum, have you ever heard of ROI? Business people like to talk about your return on investment, and we're going to call it a return on inspiration. So for your maximum return on inspiration, you need to be with us. You are an important part of the experience. And we will have built in lots of breaks. So you'll be able to stretch, you'll be able to get lunch and dinner and some other breaks, and that's going to work out really well. And I don't know if some of you have had the experience over this last year of being stuck in front of a Zoom camera for like a long time all day, and it can be tiring, and you're not really doing anything, but it can be exhausting. So take care of you. Make sure you get breaks. Listen to your body. Keep water around, caffeine, cocoa. I see Lydia's holding something up. Yep, she's got it. Snacks. Get your snack. We don't care if you're eating on camera. It's okay. You know, just make sure that you're the best you, that you're comfortable. Have a pen and paper ready for your exercises, because we are going to be doing some exercises. We are going to be doing actually deep work, deep, thoughtful work. And so, and we're going to talk about your box and about your workbook. But if you don't have that, or if you, even if you do and you want to write more, make sure you've got pen and paper to do that. The schedule. So a lot of you were early birds. We were happy to see that you were coming on in and listening to music. And the virtual doors open at 10:30 every day. And then we're going to start at 11. This is all Eastern time. We know it's different for other people. We're going to do the live event. We'll go for a while. It says for like 4 hours, 11 to 3, but really there's breaks in there, so you're not stuck in front of the screen for 4 solid hours. It doesn't work that way. Then we're going to do a lunch, the live event, and then we'll do dinner. Tonight is really important that you be back in your seats by 7:25, because the session is going to start right at 7:30. You aren't going to want to miss it. And in fact, I'm going to explain. We'll explain a little bit about the dashboard a little bit later. Did all of you do the dashboard? Was that kind of cool? I mean, raise your hand if you were able to. I know you got in because you're here, but that dashboard is really neat. And the dashboard is where we'll use to access kind of everything that we're going to. And so on that dashboard is going to be an exercise for you to do. Hey, Oscar, I see you. Nice to see you here. An exercise for us to do for tonight's session. So again, I want to say be sure to be in your seats 7:25, because it's going to start right at 7:30. It's very cool. Sunday, we're going to, the schedule is just a little bit different, that we're going to break a little bit earlier for lunch, and we will end just a little bit earlier too. And we wanted to close just this part of some of the comments with, there's no end to all the peace and joy and all the miracles that I will give when I accept God's word. Why not today? And that's really sort of the theme of what we want to go through. And what I want to share with you now is some of the props. Oh, I see that Gloria's holding up our little emoji stick. Thank you. So I want to go through some of the props that we have and that you received in your box. Okay, so how many people received their box? I mean, just wave your hand if you received your box.
You want me to hold the box for you?
Oh, yes.
I will
you.
hold the box. I have a purpose now.
This is great. So I want to tell you something, that this box is our gift to you. We really wanted this box to contain all the things that if we were going to, if we wanted some props or some helpers, some inspiration on our journey, what would we like to receive? And we've tried to put that into this beautiful box, starting with the box. And I want to tell you something about the box. The box itself, if it made it through the journey to your house, and it's still in one piece, the box is designed to be big enough to hold your textbook. That could be the Circle of Atonement, it could be the FIP, it could be the Earth Text, whatever book you like. It's big enough to hold that inside. And then I have to point out this little box right here, which is, yes, it's a jewelry box, but that's not why we put it in there. You open it up, you don't get a bracelet. Right now it's got bookmarks in it. It's got these beautiful bookmarks. We know that, yep, Course in Miracles students need bookmarks. I've got lots of bookmarks. But what it is that this little box is just the right size, that when you put your book inside this larger box and you put the little box next to it, it keeps the book from sliding around. And you can put your pens, you can put bookmarks, you can put other things inside this little box to keep that from sliding around.
May I say something?
Yes, you may.
Okay, one time somebody asked me what was like the thing they needed the most when they were studying A Course in Miracles, and I think they were looking for a suggestion of what other book to get or something else to help them, and I said the thing you need the most when you study A Course in Miracles is a bookmark. So that as you're reading, you put a bookmark in when you're done, and then you know where to start when you pick it up again. And that way you don't keep going back to the beginning. So just bookmarks are very, very important when you read and study A Course in Miracles. So you put a bookmark in it, and then you pick it up again, and you start from there.
And you know, the other thing that's really important is this is the calendar card that we put in here. We want to thank the Course in Miracles Society for allowing us to reproduce the calendar card, because this will cross-reference the dates. If you're going to do the lessons and you want to know, okay, today is May 28th, what lesson should I be on today? You'll have it right here on this calendar card. So we want to thank them for allowing us to put it in here. We think this is one of the really helpful points. And then, of
let
course,
me say
yeah.
a little something about that. So I know a lot of people do the lessons in the yearly sequence. I always wish I had a number for the people that are actually doing that, but of course there's no way to get that. But I have asked for guidance about that. And I have received a guide that it's in the tens of thousands maybe of people every day doing some kind of focus on that particular workbook lesson. So when you're doing the workbook lessons in the daily sequence, remember, you're not doing them alone. You're doing them with thousands and thousands of other people, and you join up with that consciousness. So that's one way to do the workbook lessons. Longtime students do the workbook lessons that way. So that little bookmark that she shows you will tell you which day and which lesson you are on. And it follows the leap year convention that if you're on a leap year and you get to February 29th, you just either repeat lesson number 59 or you just take a day off or whatever, so that March 1st is always the same lesson. So it's a little more information than they probably needed, but I thought I'd share.
Hey, and I'm giving a shout out to Deborah Goro. Hi, girlfriend. So we gave you a bookmark. A door hanger to put on your door to ask your family to give you some peace and quiet so that you can study, you can meditate, you can do whatever it is. It's got two sides. I'm talking to the Holy Spirit, or I'm busy healing the world. Either one. We're good with that. And then I know I saw a lot of you holding up these really cool emoji sticks. How about if you have your emoji stick, can you hold up your heart emoji stick? I would love to see a whole bunch of hearts. Oh, you have them.
Take a screenshot of that, please.
Let's hold up our emoji sticks. Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, we like these. And you know, this is good not only for this meeting, but for other meetings. We've got emoji sticks. When you see something on screen or you want to share with somebody, you can use the emoji stick. If we want to celebrate, we've got this little celebration icon. Praying, I saw some of you holding up the hands. Thank you. That's really nice to send some love and care to people. Thumbs up. Yep, we're good with all of that. This last one was supposed to go on the back of the heart, so that when you hold the heart up, you'd be able to see. If you'd like to join us on Sundays for our Zoom gathering, you'd be able to see the Zoom address. But that's what that one is. That's for our Zoom address. And then,
and please remember that. Join us any Sunday on Zoom. We do a Sunday gathering. The Community Miracle Center has done a Sunday gathering every Sunday for almost 35 years. So please join us anytime. We would love to have you.
So this box and these cards, I give this to the cards go in the box. That's what they're for. And in the box, you're going to find a mini sage stick, which is a really nice one. So we would like you to save that till our last day. Save that, and we'd also suggest that if you could find some matches. We couldn't send them through the mail because apparently that's a big problem, sending matches through the mail. But they would let us send a lighter. We decided not to do that. So you find some matches or a lighter and have that ready for the last day.
That's because this event is burning up.
It's burning up.
We're burning up.
And one of the last things I want to show you is, this book. A lot of you maybe have seen this book, or you've seen a lot of books, but we wanted to include this book for a specific reason, because this book tells the story of Helen and Bill. First of all, it's very accurate, but it's also very warm and revealing in the way that they worked together or didn't work together sometimes. And it's all about being human. It's all about applying the Course to imperfect lives that are working toward becoming more in line with the Course. And so for us to read this book is I think it's encouraging, I think it's inspiring, and I think it's uplifting, and we wanted you to have that same experience of reading it. John
Let
Mundy,
me say a little bit
John.
about the book, too.
You got to wave at John there.
Mr. Mundy, hello. This book, unlike some of the other books that talk about the story, it also follows the lives of Bill and Helen for the years after the course was published. And the author, Neil Valle, he had access to all these letters. He was given them by the Foundation for Inner Peace that they exchanged in all the years after the course was published. So you really get a broad perspective on how the course changed their lives and what their relationship was like. And it was a little controversial when it was first published. Actually, some people thought it revealed a little too much, but it really makes them human in a way that maybe some other things did not. And I really loved it. It connected me with Helen and Bill more than I had been connected with them before. And the other thing, that's really just a touching thing about this book, because the Community Miracle Center was such an advocate of this book. Neil Valle, who was an older gentleman, as he was getting on in years, he transferred the rights of this to the Community Miracle Center. So we actually are the publishers of this book now, and really honored. Neil Neil would be so happy that you all received this book. And I know he's here in spirit. And so, Neil, your book, it's out there. And more people are going to get a picture of what Helen and Bill were really like as people. And they will connect with them, and they will connect with A Course in Miracles better than they have before. So thank you, Neil, for giving us the rights to publish your book. And we're doing what we said we were going to do. We're spreading it out there to the world.
Yeah. I saw in the chat that some people said they still haven't received their boxes. And what I'd like to do, team, can we put up the dashboard for a minute? I want to show people where, and someone else said that the dashboard links weren't working, but I want to show people where the dashboard links to the materials is, where that link is. We'll wait a minute and we'll get that up.
I see Paul Bevan here. Hi, Paul. How are you? So nice to see you.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there's the link to the dashboard.
Okay, so this is our dashboard, and if you scroll down, I have to have the team scroll it down for me. So there's our agenda. Keep going, and we're going to keep, there. Okay, so you see where it says resources. These should be downloadable, where you can each time, we've got the full workbook is on there. But as I was explaining to our VIPs last night, if you do not want to download 48 pages of the workbook, you can download the slides, the exercises separately as we go through them. And of course, you can print them out in black and white if you don't want to run out of all the color on your printer. So we hope that that's going to make it possible for everyone to be able to participate. We're also going to put them up on the screen so that when we're doing an exercise, you'll be able to refer to it up on the screen. And then for those of you who have our workbook, we're going to be going through that too. Thanks, team. Let's take this back.
You're done with the box?
Yeah, we'll put it down. So right now what I like to do is, Reverend Tony, if you could take a minute and let's talk about, we've got themes. Each day has a theme, and today our theme is unblock. And would you like to share some of our thoughts about that?
I will share a little bit about unblock. And the whole pandemic in some way was a block. We had a conference, planned for 2020 in Los Angeles, had to get canceled. And then we had one planned for this weekend in Washington, D.C. They were on the books before and contracted before the pandemic even hit. And of course, that hotel went bankrupt through the pandemic. But, when the world says an old expression that when the world gives you lemons, you create a little lemonade. So when the world gives you a block, your ability to unblock that is a sweetness and a growth and a healing that we all need. And this event with all of you here this weekend, this Memorial Day weekend, is a huge unblock for all of us and for the Community Miracle Center. So, Course in Miracles says all things work together for good. There are no exceptions except in the ego's judgment. So even the pandemic and canceled conferences in some way works together for good. And the good is manifesting right here for all of us. I mean, look at all of us here. Joining together in this virtual way, and in a way that we probably wouldn't have conceptualized before the pandemic hit. People pivoting to different means and different modalities in order to make the connection. And then the connection is broadened because we can connect now with people all over the world in a real exciting, different way. We had to move our Sunday gathering to Zoom, and at first we just thought, I don't know if I like this. But now we have people connecting with us for Sunday from all over the world. And so, we're really thinking about, we need an aspect of this all the time. We're not going to let this go. This is amazing. So unblocking is so crucial to everything A Course in Miracles is about. And we're here in this world manifesting because we had blocks. And the unblocking of all of those things is that lemons in the lemonade, but that's the miracle. And that's what makes life vibrant and wonderful. The actual expression isn't just unblock, it's unblock your power. So we need to remove those blocks so that the natural power of the holy children of God is just there and available, and that we have the ability then to just channel that power out into our lives and out into the world. And we're doing that this weekend, of course, but we as miracle students, we do that all the time. And this weekend is about enhancing that ability, and the first step, of course, is going to be removing the blocks. Now, this is foundational for any student practitioner of A Course in Miracles, because after all, the introduction of A Course in Miracles says this: this course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's present, which is your natural inheritance. Now, we all know that the introduction to A Course in Miracles, that's what the course is about. That's what this event is about, at least day one, and that's foundational. So we're laying the foundation here, excuse me, and the foundation is removing those blocks. So really, as we go through some of the processes that we're going to go through, engage with them sincerely. I never say seriously because we should never be serious. We forgot to laugh. But we should be sincere at certain times. And there's a certain sincerity and connection to purpose that I want us all to center in on as we do the exercises, so that we really do remove what blocks are there for us to remove, so that that power that we have as divine beings, holy children of God, created, will just be there to flow through us and heal us and heal the world in just miraculous, miraculous ways. One thing that helps me when I'm thinking about removing blocks is this particular passage from the workbook of A Course in Miracles. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. And one of the metaphors that has always worked for me, and I got it maybe like the 6th or 8th time I went through the workbook and I was focusing in on those 10 lessons that are in the review, my mind holds only what I think with God. And I was thinking, not holding something. And maybe because I come from an Italian-American heritage, I immediately thought of a spaghetti strainer or a colander, a colander, a spaghetti strainer. You cook the spaghetti and it's in the boiling water, and you dump the spaghetti in the boiling water into the colander, and the water just flows through. You know, the water just flows through, and the stuff that you want, the spaghetti or the vegetables that you've cooked or whatever it is, the good, valuable stuff, that's what's always stays there. It doesn't go through the colander. And our mind is like that. That's what our mind is like. The God thoughts, the powerful thoughts, the miraculous thoughts are always going to be there in the mind. We just have to let the ego thoughts flow through. And they do just flow through. They always do just flow through unless we've, excuse me, unless we've blocked the holes. And so we have to unblock those holes. And what blocks those holes are the grievances that we hold on to. And we have to let go of the grievances. And grievances take all kinds of forms in our lives. I mean, they're the grievances that we have when somebody does something that we think they shouldn't do and that we don't like and that triggers our fear mechanism, and we hold on to it, and we think we need to hold on to it for some reason to protect ourselves in some sort of defensive thing. Those are grievances, and they block those little holes in the colander, and they make the ego thoughts, stick around longer than they would naturally do. And so unblocking, letting go of those grievances, and we have grievances against all kinds of things. We have grievances against ourselves. We wish we had done something else. I still have things that cycle through my mind. God, why did I do that? I'm thinking of things that happened, like 10 years ago, 20. Why did I? Let it go. Those are the grievances that are blocking. Everything is working together for good. We really don't have to be concerned about these things. The Course says in the text, your egos have been blocking the more important questions which your mind should ask. Think about that. Your ego is blocking the more important questions that your mind should ask. So what are those important questions? Well, for me, it's like, what am I? Who am I? Who created me? What are my inherent qualities? What would a divine being of a holy created force, divinity, God, what would their response to this situation be? Those are the important questions, not what did Mary Lou do last night that annoyed me, or what did I do 10 years ago that I wish I hadn't done, and this damn pandemic, and it canceled our conferences. Those are the grievances. Let them go, and then let the power and the miracle be there. So, grievance about the pandemic and the conferences and not being able to do them, and we loved to do them. But look at the miracle that was there, that is here now, manifesting when we let go of things like that. In other places it says, the removal of blocks, then, is the only way to guarantee help and healing. Take that in. That's like the whole focus of this day. The removal of blocks is the only way. It's the only way to guarantee help and healing. We want help when we need it. We want healing when we need it. And the only way that we're ever going to get that is removing the blocks. So you're here in day one. We're going to be going through an exercise, and presenters are going to be addressing certain things. It's so important. Approach it all with sincerity, not with seriousness, with joy and sincerity, as we remove the blocks to the awareness of our power, of love's presence, of our divine being that is going to emerge from this process, a true miracle worker, healing ourselves, healing our brothers and sisters, healing the world, transforming the world, and blessing the world with all the gifts that God has given us to offer to the world. I think that's enough.
As Reverend Tony was talking, it reminded me of something that Lisa Natoli said last night during our VIP reception. And we thank her for being here with us for 3 days, and also for the talk. She's going to be talking on Sunday. And she said something really important, which is, in order to be our best selves, it helps if we feel good. It's very hard to be your best self. It's very hard to unblock and rock the world if you don't feel good. And the reason that, most of the time we don't feel good is because of feelings that we have inside that came from something we believe about ourselves. And typically it's something in the way, or something we think should be another way and it isn't that way, or someone should be another way and they're not that way. So this idea of the grievances that we hold it's really sapping our joy, and it's really blocking our gifts and blocking our ability to take those gifts out into the world. So one of the things that we want to do is I want to go to our workbook. And let me see here. For those in our workbook, you're going to see we've got day 1 here. And then next to it is an exercise called setting the goal. And what's important about this exercise is, and what we're trying to do here in the beginning, is we want to get our mind centered on what it is, where we want to go, where we're trying to bring ourselves to. What is this journey? Why did we show up here? Why in the first place did we come to A Course in Miracles? What is it that we were looking for? What is it that we were called to? What are we trying to accomplish and achieve? And so in setting the goal, I want to focus in on a couple of these quotes that came right from the Course. It says, the first thing to consider very simply is, what do I want to come of this? What is it for? The clarification of the goal belongs at the beginning, for it is this that will determine the outcome. And what's so amazing is that the more I read the Course, the more, and also go through goal setting exercises or habit training exercises, I have to tell you that the Course is the perfect example of great teaching, of how to take people from where they are to where they want to be. The Course has all of the techniques that you could hear any expert talk about. They're all in A Course in Miracles. And okay, starting at the beginning with the goal we want to set is the first thing we have to do. And then it says the value of deciding in advance of what you want to happen, which of course is the basis for manifesting. If you've been into manifesting, you know that that's the first thing you do. Deciding in advance what you want to happen is simply that you will perceive the situation as a means to make it happen. You will therefore make every effort to overlook what interferes with the accomplishment of your objective and concentrate on everything that helps you meet it. So that's why this is so important, that we start at the beginning with this conceptualization of what's our goal? Where do we want to go? So let's, so our very first exercise is called setting the goal. And what we're going to do is we are going to give everyone some time. Now this is so important. This is so critical for the beginning of our 3 days of this whole journey that we want to take, that we are going to give you time to really think deeply about the questions that are on this page. There's 3 questions. What are the feelings? What are the feelings I most want to experience in my life? And what I want to do is point out to you that on the next page, the next 4 pages, you've got 2 pages of sad feelings, and you've got 2 pages of happy feelings. Now you can get, those are all part of the download. If you do not have your workbook, those pages of feelings are all part of the download. You can go to the dashboard and you can download, or you can at least look at those pages so that you can see the happy feelings and the sad feelings. And what's really interesting about those lists is that it helps you identify what are feelings, what you might be feeling in a given situation. And it's not just happy and sad. There's all these gradations in between. And I want to give a shout out to the work of Byron Katie for lists of feelings, because That's an important part of the practice there, is identifying how do you feel. And that's what we want to do here. We really want you to go through those lists and identify how you want to feel. What is it you most want to experience in your life? And then who or what is in your way and why. Really think deeply about that, what is in your way. It can be you, it can be something within you, but it can be some other person. It can be a situation. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's no right or wrong here. This is really a meditation between you and you, but it's really important that we get it out and we identify it here, because we're going to work on all of this. We're going to decide what it is we're going to keep and what it is we're going to move through. So, and then this is important too, right here on the bottom, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the strongest. How strong is my desire? And we'll talk about desire later. How strong is my desire to do whatever it takes to improve what I now experience? And you know, improvement, you can be quite happy now, but still want to improve, still want to go somewhere. So we really need to identify where we want to be with this exercise. So everyone, you can see that up there, I'm going to flag the setting the goal here. So if you didn't get a chance to take a look at that, you know that that's really important. And then here are the questions that, and I'm going to leave them up here on the screen in case you don't have them, so that you can look at them. And team, let's give people, you know, this is really important. But let's give you 10 minutes. What's going to happen is some very soft, I hope it's really soft music will play in the background. You can cut your sound off if you don't want to listen to that. We'll also have a timer so that you'll know when we're going to, at least I think we will, so that you'll know when we're going to come back. And let's give you some time, and I really would like you to think deeply about these questions.
Are we doing both questions?
All three.
All three. Thank you for complimenting me.
Hey everyone. So how was it? I saw people busily writing. It's important. And you know, I thought I'd take a minute to ask if there's anyone who would like to share, not necessarily what are the feelings you most want to experience in your life, but just the process of doing the exercise, or your thoughts about A Course in Miracles and the role in your life, or its importance, and what it is that you're, you know, why you're here, what you're focusing on. So if there's anyone who would like to share something, I think what we can do, there's two ways of doing that. You can, there's reactions, and at the bottom of your screen with Zoom, there's a little hand that you can go up, and this little hand shows up in the corner of your Zoom picture, or you can just wave at us. Like this, and that's kind of easier. We can see. We can see a hand.
You have to have your camera on to do that.
Yeah, you gotta have your camera on. But if you want to wave to us, oh, I see. I think I saw a hand go up.
Who would like to share?
But go ahead. You know what? We've got something in front.
Okay, Gladys.
Audrey.
Gladys. Okay, Audrey.
Audrey McMurray.
Okay, then Gladys Clancy.
Okay. Audrey, are you
Audrey
unmuted?
McMurray. I think you're
unmuted?
unmuted now, dear. No.
Yep, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, a little louder, maybe.
Okay. I was just waving hello. I'm Audrey McMurray. I'm from Houston, Texas.
Nice
And
to see you.
Looking forward to learning.
Wonderful. We're glad you're here. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Gladys?
can we go to Gladys Clancy? Gladys, give them a moment to find you and
Unmute you.
unmute. Okay, Gladys, I believe you're unmuted now.
Well, I started doing this exercise, writing all the feelings, and I just felt a sense of relief by being able to identify such a variety of feelings and to really make it so specific through this list that you provided. It was great. I mean, it just really, I got more in touch really with what it is that is really my goal. And then on what's blocking me, you know, I had a lot of issues in 2020. I mean, I got breast cancer. My husband had a stroke. I mean, it was like, it goes on and on. You know, I had a knee surgery that went bad. I had all kinds of issues and problems and blocks. And then I started thinking, and I kind of stopped doing what I love, which is helping women with their relationships using the principles in the Course in Miracles. And I've done basically nothing for a year, and I'm just like starting over again, really redoing my website and stuff. And what I ended up doing is I came to a place of gratitude, because I have been, using the Course and praying for, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Who do you want me to talk to? And all of those things. And all of a sudden, my own son came to the rescue. I have been technology blocked for a lot of the time. And my son just finished his degree in tech writing. And so I asked him to help me. And like, we're redoing the website, and I'm getting so much clarity. He's a writer as well as a tech guy and a graphic person. And so it's like, it's like clarity is coming and everything is falling into place. And I realized the miracle, that is evolving, and the possibility for actually achieving this goal, that's already there.
That's
So I came to a place of real sincere gratitude and awareness of the gratitude that I was feeling. So it was very good exercise for me.
Thank you.
that is wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
identifying what is in your way sometimes can help you find that path out.
Yeah.
When you can identify what's in your way. Anybody else have some thoughts that you might like to share? Because when you share,
Reverend
It's for all
Paula
of us.
Karp's got her hand up. Can we find Reverend Paula? Give him just a minute, Reverend Paula, to.
there she
Oh,
is.
I believe
She's unmuted.
you're unmuted. Start talking so the audio picks you up.
I believe I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Yes. Oh, wow. What a great exercise. I love it. I started writing them down in all these areas, everything that I'm either feeling or would like to feel more of. And as I'm going through and picking all this positive and loving, that, the greatness of all this, and saying, I'm not going to pick it all. I'm really being honest of what it is that I may want to continue
Why is she going?
to learn more of. It's quite beautiful. And then the question came at the beginning for me: who's in the way? Right? Who's stopping you from feeling this? Well, a couple of exes come up, and a couple of reasons pop up. Of course, it was only me in the way. There's nothing in the way. It was just wonderful grounding and ensuring that there is any reason and choosing it. So it's a good way to anchor yourself in that and remind that there's no reason not to choose all of it.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Reverend Paula.
Anyone? Is there anyone? Oh, I see a hand
Dan.
right up there. Is that?
Dan Ziadura.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Give him
There he
just a
goes.
moment
There
to
he is.
unmute you. I believe you're unmuted now, Dan. Take it away.
Hello there. I hope you
Hi.
can hear me.
We
We
can.
can.
Great. So I wanted to answer the question of what is in my way, and I feel that my habitual way of thinking is always in my way. I feel like I have the sense that I've been brainwashed to be myself, to be this character that I think I am, and I can't break that patterning. And doing the lessons every day and trying to do my forgiveness lessons, and it just seems like such a difficult thing to break through this ego that I think I am.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's universal, might I suggest or say that you're not alone in feeling all of that. And one of the things that we hope as we go through this time that we'll learn some tips and techniques for helping us get through that, because we all share that. And I'm noticing on the chat that people are mentioning that the sound sometimes breaks up. Yes, it will. And one of the reasons is, and that's why we did the tech check, but everybody's on a different Wi-Fi or a different line connection. people are connecting with us from all over. So sometimes it's going to be a little bit fuzzy, and sometimes people are going to drop, and we're just going to roll with it. So we hope you can too. If you can't hear anything at all, please please let us know, because that can be helpful. That could be a glitch, but otherwise it's gonna come in and out and pop a little bit.
Yeah, these shares are great. Who else would like to
Anyone
share
else?
something that they wrote?
Or
Just
that
raise your hand. We'll find
that
you.
comes to you about being here, about coming to the course, about what it is, about your journey with the course.
Okay, I see a hand up over there. Constance, last name starts with an M, but I'm not sure what it is. Oh, so if we could find Constance, M, there you go. Constance, I believe you're unmuted now. Take it away.
All right. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Just a great big thank you to Reverend Tony, the team. Hello, John Monday. Hello, Ted Poppy. All the other folks that I've interacted with over the years with Course in Miracles, and with the wonderful events and the opportunity to meet and talk with so many people. It's priceless. There's no way to describe being in a hallway with a couple of, I say this kindly, masters, and just to soak up everything they have to say. It's just a great big thank you to everyone.
Thank you,
you,
that.
Constance.
We're seeing in the chat that the suggestion is that our headphones, that our mics are giving feedback. Is that something that is happening, team?
Our tech people will work.
They're going to work on it. We don't have anything to do with
Don't have anything to do with that.
So anyone else? Is there anyone
Holy
else
Spirit is working on
that
it.
would like to give us a few comments? Any shares? Anything you'd like to say to the community?
Who else? Does anybody want to raise their hand?
What we'd like to do is, this exercise of setting the goal is all about identifying, I think it was, as Gladys said, what are those feelings that you're going through? What are those thoughts that connect with you? Oh, we've got Miriam. I see a
Miriam
hand
Rios
up.
Sanchez.
And
She was here
then-
last night at the VIP.
And then Reverend Ted, you'll
And then
be
Reverend Ted.
next.
So let's go to
Miriam.
Miriam. Give them just a moment to find you. And
There
I
she
believe they have you now. Take it away, Miriam.
Hi, everyone. Well, I don't know if this is common to everyone, but even before starting doing the Course in Miracles, I think the big doubt always for me is that I read the course and I do the exercises, but I think for the most part of the day, there is a voice saying that everything I'm doing is unreal. Like, oh yeah, you're busy with science, you're doing this, and this is what it's about. So I think something that I would like to develop is that sense of pursuing the truth, because I think there is this frustration that I hear, like, miracles happen and you see all these kind of miracles and you read the book. So, oh yeah, I heard this voice or I saw that, and like, I heard nothing, and it's like, it's frustrating. It's because I don't hear nothing and I just read and it's like, sounds so wonderful, but I think during the day, the experience is no such. So it's hard to find those feelings, and I just put it down, and I think it's sometimes exhausting try to go over them. So I couldn't even put a tent over the desire to achieve the goal, because I think it's like I have a big chunk of skepticism in my life that, like I kept doing it. Sometimes I don't know why, but I think there's a big goal, and I don't know how many go through these feelings on a daily basis.
Important what you've just brought up, because again, you are not alone in that. I mean, that's something I think that all of us struggle, unless someone is maybe like Helen, where she has a thought and she can hear this voice give her the answer, like which coat she should buy or what she should do next. I mean, most of us don't have that experience. And so, but we have other ways of finding guidance or hearing guidance. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about, because this unblocking process unblocks our ability to hear that guidance or to pay attention to it in whatever form it might come to you. So again, it's always a process of this unblocking, and yeah, you're not alone. Boy, we're all going through that experience. So thank you for sharing that. That's kind of universal. And our next person was.
Is, if the tech people could find Reverend Teodosio Zamora, he's got. Yep, there
There's
he
his
is.
hands up.
He's got a little yellow box around him.
There he goes.
But his microphone is still. There you go. Okay, Reverend Ted, I think you can speak now.
Hello, how's everybody? I'm very happy to be here today. I missed yesterday. I was very disappointed. I guess I got the times wrong and so forth. I was on, their Easter time, Pacific time, and so forth. But I'm glad to be here today. The course has been a lot for me because I had a bad past, and especially with drugging and drinking and so forth. And the course is the one that helped me out in finding myself. And I like this little book I put. All I want to experience is all happy feelings and basically love. And who's in the way? Sometimes me, and I have to overcome the me, the ego. And right now I rate myself up to around 9 or 10. I think I'm having a good life and so forth. And I'm very proud of the Course in Miracles. I'm very proud of knowing Tony, because he was the first person I met when I walked up the stairs to this place on Haight Street, and I saw the book and I bought it. So, and then I took classes from him and Larry. So I'm very happy about it. I want to thank you for that. And that's it.
Thank you, Reverend Ted.
Thank you, Reverend Ted. Reverend Ted has been involved with Community Miracles Center for over 35 years. He was involved with us before we were Community Miracles Center.
So we have a hand up. It's Debbie. Is it
Nobrega?
Nobrega. Hi. Oh, she's unmuted. Thank you.
Go for it, Debbie.
Hello. So this just reminded me that as I'm doing the path, I keep thinking I'm on the right path, and then another opportunity for forgiveness comes up. I'm like, I thought I got it. So it's just a constant work. And I just keep remembering Gary Renard's comment saying, Jaffo, just another forgiveness opportunity. So Gary, thank you for that. That's really helped me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we could all remember that.
Yeah.
Just another forgiveness opportunity. So David Hunt. Thank you.
If we can find David
there
Hunt.
He is.
And
He's
I think they found you, David.
You can run,
Yep,
but you can't hide.
We can hear you.
I appreciate how well organized this whole conference is, and the goodie box and the pamphlet and the workbook. And I'm really, and just how clear that the setup person who helped get us all organized and online technical stuff, just excellent. So I really appreciate it.
The browser.
Yeah, the browser, right. So, and I've been a course student for about 40 years. So.
Yeah, thank you for those comments, because we do want to give that shout out to Chuck and his team that helped with the with doing your tech check yesterday, and for getting you in with the browser, and also Danella and her team who are helping us with all of the tech today. And we hope that it's been a sort of a smooth transition, and a way that we can share these exercises as we go forward, and we'll put important information on the dashboard. Thank you. There's a little emoji stick. We like those little emoji sticks. Thank you.
Yeah, get your emoji
Nice
stick.
to see those. So is there anyone else?
Yeah, I want to share.
Oh, yeah. No, we've got
we got
another one.
Rosie Johnston.
Rosie Johnson. Hi.
Or Rose Johnston.
She's unmuted. Thank you. Yeah, we can. Well, it's a little low.
No, we can't.
It's a little low. We're going to see if we can turn you up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Better.
Thank you. Just a comment about the exercise. I'm hearing now, but I'll figure that out. I don't know why. Okay. Thank you. Like everyone, what I experience is this happiness and ongoing challenges in my life. And what I felt was blocking me, that I'm really recognizing, is this body identification in the world and my constant attention to me as a body and as a person. So just to be able to say that out loud in that ongoing challenge, and that I am committed to changing that. So I want to thank the community for that support, and I suspect most of us are in that ongoing challenge. So it's great to be part of that community. Thanks.
You know, you just mentioned something really important, which is sometimes when we hold these things inside, they fester and they don't leave. And it's often it's just the act of saying them out loud, and maybe even saying them in a group like this, where you're really saying it to other people, people that you might know or might not know, that kind of loosens their hold on us. So thank you for sharing that. And we see in the chat, they're telling us Lisa, is it Hage? Who had her hand up? Where is Lisa? Oh, there she is.
There she is. She's
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. I think they found you. Go ahead and share.
Ollie oxen.
Yeah, you're here.
I just want to thank you guys, and also I want to share that I have been working with my beliefs for the past year with something close to this called Choose Again, and it's all about looking at your beliefs. And with that step, it's really helped me look at what's blocking me. And with that being said, I would like to express that I would love to experience joy and peace today, but I don't have to look very far because they abide in me according to the Course.
Right.
But the blocks that I noticed that were there is I have a preconceived idea of what love should look like. So I'm learning to drop what that looks like and just experience it from within. And as we all know from the Course's words, it is not outside of me. And so my belief is that my whole life is that I thought I had to get love or earn love to experience it, which is completely untrue. And that I'm undeserving of love. I told myself that as a child. And so what I would like to say to wrap this up is that it's not what happened to me growing up, which is what I thought was my block, but it's what I decided about me that was happening to me. That was the problem. So I'm really excited about this conference, and thank you for inviting me.
You know, what you just said is so important. And I want to piggyback here on something that Deepa said in the chat, which she said, I love these shares. And that's because what each person is sharing here helps us maybe recognize new things. And Lisa, what you just said is so important. The things that happened to us in the past, those things are gone, but the feelings that we have about the things that happened to us in the past, those are the things that are present right now. And those are the things that we want to ask ourselves, do we want to keep that? Do we want to change that? Is there something about that we want to work on? And we've got a real opportunity to do that this weekend.
I want to share.
Yes,
I'm doing
Tony.
the process along with everybody else. I'm going to do all the processes along with everybody else because I'm on the same journey that we all are on. Feelings, you know, of course I want to be happy, I want to be peaceful, I want to be purposeful, but I had an experience, you know, last year sometime that I really just got the guidance about the word sublime, and that the feeling that comes up for me sometimes is sublime. And I used to get the words sublime and poignant confused, but poignant means intensely sad. But sublime, I looked up the definition just now, it's of such excellence, grandeur, and beauty as to inspire great admiration or awe. And I have been feeling that. this past year at different moments, and I'm feeling it right now. It's just sublime. It's just so grand and excellent to be here, to finally be here, that we manifested this, and to see all of you, that you all decide. It's just sublime. And yeah, I get a little choked up, just thinking about how amazing it is just to be on this wave and like surfing this wave of connection and miracles. It's really just sublime. So I want to thank you all for that. Who or what is in my way? Well, my fears are in my way. I have fears that come up. Sleeplessness is in my way. I have that problem sometimes, waking up in the middle of the night, not being able to go to sleep, spinning thoughts, anxiety comes up, the same things that everybody has, but, they get in the way. I also manifested my car getting stolen in February. And 3 weeks ago, I manifested what appears to be out there in the external world being cyber hacked, identity theft. They took over our bank account, our email. They took over our phone.
Damn, that's good.
I was thinking about how many things could I manifest that could be trying to block me to create this weekend. Really. But I just really got that this weekend must be some amazing shit for me because I am manifesting some amazing crap out there in the external world. So I just walked through it all. So, what's my desire? It's 10. My desire, I was willing to walk through all of that and freeze our bank account. They created fake employees and tried to pay them. It was just pretty intense to deal with that 2.5 weeks before this event. And none of it stopped anything. So I just wanted to share. That's
that
my
was
process.
good. And I see Lisa Natoli saying she got her Facebook hacked and deleted. Best thing ever. Well, there's a silver lining. And it reminds me when you're saying that, there's that saying, new level, new devil. So, the closer you get to maybe the next step, the closer you get to a greater peace, the bigger the obstacle that might come up that you have to move through. And those are the gifts, because you realize those are the things you need to get through to get to where you want to go. And I see Sarah says,
Carol Norman's
I'd like to share. It's great to see so many folks here. That's wonderful. It feels like it's just me and Gary and Cindy Renard who's practicing ACIM sometimes, but nice to know there's literally dozens of us. Yes, there are. And we're so happy that you are here. We're so happy that you're sharing with us. So we're going to, we've got one hand up here.
Some more
Carol.
hands. Carol Norman has got her hand up. Carol Norman.
Hi, Carol.
And she's got a little puppy there. It's a little puppy, yeah.
We can't hear you. There you go. Now you're unmuted.
Okay. Tell us your dog's name.
Spanky and I think this is wonderful. I am not alone in my problems. I love it.
Yeah, no, you're not. Spanky's
Life
not
is
either.
good.
Yeah, wonderful.
Spanky, it's always good for Spanky.
Where are you located, Carol?
I'm in Houston.
You're in Houston. Wonderful. And Gloria's got her hand up. Let's hear from Gloria.
She stepped away from the camera Gloria, are you there in the room?
She'll be back. She'll be back in a minute.
While we're waiting for Gloria to come back, who else maybe we got just a couple more minutes.
Couple more minutes, and let me tell you what's going to happen.
Gloria's back now.
Okay, hi, Gloria.
Hi, Gloria. Give them just a minute to find you. There you are. I think you're unmuted now.
Yep, we can.
Yes, I'm Gloria from New York. Hi, everyone. I just have a question. So my block is, I lost my husband and I'm parenting alone. And I find that the parenting process just takes up so much of my time that I find it hard to fit in the course. And I just don't, I don't know if I'm understanding this correctly, but that's a block. So how do I undo that? I can't stop being a parent.
Well,
you know what I mean? Cut out the things that I have to do the, daily basis.
Right. The block is the anxiety over I have to do this the right way. That would be the block, because just the fact that you've come to the course and that you're reading the course and your parenting is the perfect time, perfect opportunity to practice the course. So you actually have your practice right in front of you. And so
Lots of
to feel differently, like you have to be practicing in a different way, that's maybe your most important practice. We want you to feel joy with what you do, and not the I should be doing. The should is the block. Not that you're not finding time to do the course, it's that you think you should be doing it differently than how you're able to do it right now. So we would like you to
Thank you.
you joyous parenting is a perfect way of practicing the course.
Okay, let me share a couple of cheats with you.
Cheats?
Cheats. Cheating the course. So cheating, if you really got this idea and it's manifesting that you don't have the time, just read the lesson of that day. You know, the one line. It takes like 10 seconds. Read a paragraph in it. It takes 30 seconds. If that's all the time you have, that just do that. 2 or 3 times a day, remember that one line. And then the next day, go on to the next. And when you're remembering that line, if you're doing them in the yearly sequence, remember, you're joining with the power of tens of thousands of other minds that are focusing in on that exact same thought. And other minds may have more time than you have right now. And other minds may have read the whole lesson. And maybe you don't have to today. And maybe just reading that line, you connect with all those other minds and you draw their strength, and that's what you do today. But we're all one. So there are other people that did it, and maybe on a future day, you'll be one of those other people.
Yeah.
And go ahead and cheat that way. I give you permission.
Wonderful. Yes. Yeah, that's really great. That's good. So what we want to share with you, what we're going to, what the schedule is here. What we're going to do is we're going to take, in just a few minutes, we're going to be taking a break. That's great, because it's early morning and maybe you need to go get some coffee or some water and whatever, and grab some snacks, grab some coffee or a pop or something, Coke, soda, whatever people call it here. We call it pop in Michigan.
We don't call it pop.
Bring it back to where you are, and we're going to have, when we come back, we're going to be hearing from Gary and Cindy Renard. And we're just thrilled that they are going to be joining us. And last night we heard at the VIP reception that they are really focused on this idea of unblocking. And they understand the importance of how that's the first step, that we have to get out of our own way. And so I can't wait to hear what they're going to share with us about unblocking, this theme of unblocking, and how that is going to help set the stage for not only for this weekend, but seriously for our lives. That's what we want to do first, is we want to get out of our own way. So when we come back, we're going to be with Gary and Cindy. And let me check the chat to see if what time with Gary and Cindy. Gary and Cindy are going to be 9:30. No, 9. Okay. Team.
I got to look at the schedule.
We have to look at the schedule.
I get
so
the
we can
time
find out.
zone things confused myself.
Okay. Just say it in Eastern time. So at 1 o'clock. Eastern?
At 1 o'clock?
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong clock. I'm looking at a Pacific time. Are we a little bit early here with our
No,
our
we
break?
got 4 minutes. That clock is correct, I believe, right? And then we got a 15-minute break.
20-minute break. Okay, so we're gonna do a 20-minute at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock East Coast time. Garrett, we're gonna hear from Gary and Cindy Renard. We're gonna work that out. I don't know if our clocks are right over there. So, all right, are we good? I think team, we could probably break a little early and give them a little bit more time.
Well, let's all just give before we break. Let's all just give ourselves just a little bit of congratulations and gratitude. It takes a certain amount of commitment to decide that you're going to do something like this, and don't sell yourself short. It's a big deal. It's a big deal that you decided to be here this weekend. There's Evie. She's got a thumbs up and a heart. Yeah, let's get our emoji sticks. It's a big deal. And you need to always endorse yourself and congratulate yourself and to celebrate every little bit of dedication that you have. Feel good about it. Let go of this idea that you could have done more. being here right now is an amazing blessing that you're giving to yourself, and it's also an amazing blessing that you're giving to all of us, and also to the entire sonship or childship or daughtership or whatever you want to call it. We are not just blessing ourselves. We are connected with the totality of all the holy children of God everywhere. So just remember that, and let us just send that love and that blessing to ourselves, to everybody here in this gathering, to all our sisters and brothers and others everywhere, all A Course in Miracles students everywhere, all New Age spiritual students, all spiritual healers. We are healing the universe right now by us being together, being dedicated, going through this process. Stay engaged, stay with us, be here for the whole weekend. Come back in 15 minutes or so that we can be here with Gary and Cindy.
Let me address
Go
that.
for
So
it.
Dan asked, so there's a 30, yeah, I think we have a little glitch on our schedule. People are saying, well, why aren't you sharing the schedule? Because clearly our schedule's a little glitchy right now.
Our
so
schedule is
we're
just
working on our schedule, but it looks like we have a 30-minute break because we're going to be back at 1 o'clock Eastern, and Gary and Cindy will be here with us. So please take a break, and we will see you back then.
Listen for the power of love.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You heard that power of love. You know it's time to come on back. And we're so happy that you're back again. I want to give a shout out to Maureen Muldoon. You're going to hear from her a little bit later, but hi, Maureen. Glad you're in the house. Nice to see you. And we heard people's requests, and we want you to know, first we're going to hear from Gary and Cindy Renard. Then we're going to hear from Maureen Muldoon. We're very excited about that. We'll take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to do this amazing, amazing session with Evie Gibbons on the work of Byron Katie. You won't want to miss any of that because this is all about powerful, powerful unblocking. And then I just want to put it on your radar screen tomorrow morning. You're going to want to be here right at the beginning. Marianne Williamson is going to kick us off tomorrow morning, and then we are also going to hear from Lynn McTaggart. If you've heard anything about the power of 8, about combined intention, coming together to heal people and to heal the people that we are focused on, and also this boomerang effect that comes back to heal us, we who participate in it, you are not going to want to miss any of that. So, without further ado, I don't know, I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Tony to kick us off with Gary and Cindy Renard.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome back. Hope you had a great break. And I see Gary and Cindy are in the house, so I just want to give a little introduction. For most of you, Gary and Cindy need no introduction. You know who they are. I don't know exactly when The Disappearance of the Universe came out, maybe almost 20 years ago. It came out at a time when the Course in Miracles community was going through the dark ages with the copyright controversy and all the legal things, and people wondering if we were going to have a Course in Miracles book. Who in the hell knows what was going on? And in the middle of that, Gary Renard published and wrote and communicated with Arden and Persa, and The Disappearance of the Universe came out. And, you know, the whole landscape brightened up. And, you know, Gary wrote a book that was profound in its metaphysics, but also fun. You know, as I talked about earlier, sometimes people get really serious about A Course in Miracles, and, you know, Course in Miracles tells us we got to remember to laugh. And Gary remembered to laugh, and Arden and Persa, I guess, remembered to laugh. And we had The Disappearance of the Universe, and I loved it. It had a little male energy to it that I really identified with. It was great. Gary has continued to write books. One of his latest ones, The Lifetimes When Jesus and Buddha Knew Each Other. And then a number of years on the scene, and suddenly Cindy showed up, and Cindy is a great presence, softened the presentation a bit with her great feminine, peaceful energy. She's got a number of books. She's got a new one that I don't have to show you yet, but A Course in Health and Well-Being. And she's got a brand new book, I know, and I have to talk to her about getting that for the CMC bookstore. You know, personal note, I said this last night, you know, we needed to do this little comedy routine at the San Francisco event, and we asked Gary to come in as a surprise right during the finale and take me off the cross. I was being symbolically crucified, and nobody knew Gary was coming, and he kept it a secret. He snuck into the hotel, and it was amazing. It was an amazing thing. You can watch it on YouTube, and always it was such a punch for the end, and my heartfelt appreciation for Gary for doing that. And also, just as an organizer, Gary and Cindy are amazing to work with. They actually read the emails I send them, and they respond right away. They do everything they say they were going to do, and they promote well. Some of you are here because of promotion that Gary and Cindy put out, so I really have a lot of gratitude for Gary and Cindy. So I'm taking up their time right now, and I know they don't want that. So I'm going to turn it over. But Gary and Cindy, thank you so much for being our first presenters to speak and just starting this off, and for your partnership all throughout the years. Let's turn it over to Cindy and Gary Renard.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And thank you, Tony, for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. And we are going to get right to it. We have a lot to cover in this short period of time. So what we're going to do is Cindy is going to start off, and she's going to speak for a little while. Then I'm going to take over. And we may have some time for questions and answers also. So without further delay, let me introduce to you the woman who forgives me every day, Cindy Lora-Renard.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yes.
Well, first of all, Reverend Tony, the music you were playing right before we logged on rocks. So I love your choice in music. Time Passages, wow. And The Power of Love, two of my all-time favorite songs. So got to give credit to whoever's doing the music here. As a music person, I really appreciate that. It's really cool to see so many of you that are on the call right now live and actually get to see your faces, so we know who we're talking to too. So that's really nice. The theme for today is Unblock Your Power. Incredible theme. To start this off, I do want to read a story about the Buddha, which I will explain how this relates to staying in your power. And this story is a story that I relay in my second book, The Business of Forgiveness. I want to read the story and then I'll elaborate on it and why I'm reading it to you. So one day the Buddha was teaching, and a high priest in the Hindu culture became angry at what he was teaching and confronted him while he was meditating. He projected many abuses on him, and the Buddha just sat there and smiled. The priest became aware that the Buddha was just sitting there, and he said, "Aren't you angry that I have laid so many abuses on you?" The Buddha said, "No, you came and you spoke any number of different abuses. However, I have not accepted any of those abuses. So therefore, in my not receiving them, they had nowhere to go except to return to their source. But I don't want you to feel any abuses either. So there's really no need to be angry." That, in a nutshell, is an example of how you can remain in your power, which means you're not accepting other people's illusions about themselves or about you, because it's not really your business what other people choose to think about you or even how they behave. So taking responsibility for your reaction, your thoughts and feelings, no matter what seems to be coming at you, this is a way to keep your power. And there's really two ways Jesus speaks about power in A Course in Miracles. He talks about an overall power, the power of God that is streaming through all of us. The power of God that is the source, the ultimate source of our strength and supply. And then he talks about power in a way that we need to work with it in the world. In other words, the power of decision in our experience here in the world will be another use of power, which means we're learning really how to remain in our center, in the quiet center, step into our power by recognizing that there's no body making any decisions. There's no world being the decision maker. That the real decision maker is our mind, and that's what we are, is we're mind. And so the Course is very literally teaching us that if there's no body, there's no brain thinking or making decisions, there's no world. So there's no world that really has the power to do anything to us, because the world is an effect. It's part of the projection. So there's really two ideas about power here. How do we unblock our power? Well, when the Course speaks of power of God, we're really learning to really accept that we can remain as God created us. That's our real identity. And watch our ego reactions when we get caught up in the world being our identity, or Cindy is my identity, this body is my identity, which is a false experience. It's not true. So at the level of the world, how do we exercise the power? The power of God is by first realizing that we have the power to use our mind to activate spirit. To activate spirit and choose spirit on a consistent basis. This is definitely not always easy. And I can attest to that too in my own experiences in my life. It's not always easy to step into that power and remain as God created you when the ego seems to be the dominant voice in your mind. I have quite a bit of experience with this because I've had so much anxiety in my lifetime. That this was a theme that I chose, though, to come here to work through, to recognize that I don't have to identify with myself as this vulnerable, weakened self. Now, this is the way that I'm learning this lesson, is really, really, anytime anxiety comes up, it gives me an opportunity to use it as a blessing, an opportunity to choose again what my reality really is. And really step into, really consistently applying the tools the Course gives us that helps us unblock ourselves from allowing God to stream through us. When I say God, I mean love, pure love. And for me, it's always been about really, really noticing when I'm in an ego state of mind, really catching it. Because the sooner that I catch it, I can start remembering the truth, and I can start applying the tools, which forgiveness is definitely the key tool that the Course uses in helping us to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And then Jesus furthermore explains that it's the guilt. The unconscious guilt in the mind is really the main cause, the one cause we don't often think about that is the cause of all our suffering. And it's the guilt and the belief that we've truly pulled off the impossible, that we separated from God's love. That's frightening. And when the ego senses that it's getting closer to the truth, some of you may be going through this right now, that where as you keep on doing the ego, it might feel sometimes that things still get more, and they're getting more intense. Or maybe feel sometimes that the ego is attacking you, or it's just pulling out all the stops. And just when you think that you have it all figured out, oh yeah, I've forgiven that, and you just kind of feel like you're really far along, boom, something comes up and you realize, oh my God, I guess I just have a little more work to do. And the key is not judging ourselves when that happens, even when you think you might be further along than you are. Because when we practice just being able to be the observer and observe ourselves in the ego, when we're choosing the wrong mind, when we can do that, but do it with Jesus in our minds, and do it from, which means we're doing it from above the battleground, which means we're just saying, Jesus, Holy Spirit, please help me to see this differently. I feel afraid right now, or I feel sad right now, or I feel anxious right now. Help me to look at this with your perception. And then if you're able to do that, whatever the emotion is or thought, could be a fearful thought you're having. If you're able to just look and practice observing it without an attachment to it, being a neutral observer, that's already being in an attitude of a forgiving attitude and having compassion for the self, having kindness and compassion when we find ourselves moving into a fearful space. So forgiveness is the key to happiness. That's quite a statement in the Course, the key to happiness. So when every time we're doing this, we are unblocking ourselves from, receiving God's love, which is the ultimate source of our strength and supply. And another tool that we're often encouraged to use by A Course in Miracles and also Art and Pursa have really, really, really reinforced true prayer and how powerful that is. I can attest that in my own experience with the Course, when I actually sit down and not just talk about true prayer and what it means, but when I really do it and I take the time to sit down and spend 5 or 10 minutes and really do true prayer, which is forgetting the things you think you need and recognizing and feeling gratitude that you have God's true gifts that he gave you, the gifts of total joy, complete peace, and divine love. When you're just bathing in that gratitude and opening yourself up to recognizing that these are the true gifts you already have, you don't have to earn those. And you're just feeling this gratitude. What happens is that you're rejoining with what you are, with your reality. This trains the mind and it reinforces the right part of your mind on a consistent basis. And you know what happens? And what I've noticed even very recently, and I even have been saying this to Gary the last few days, I can't believe how much inspiration that I'm experiencing right now, which what the Course calls the after effects of joining with God, the echoes, the reply of his voice comes through when you just do the joining part and gratitude, accepting yourself as God created you. I'm actually really amazed at how that really works. That's how to receive guidance. I've had some very specific inspired thoughts come through me the last few days. And what that feels like is that you're not trying to think of it. You're not trying to get the answer to what you think your problem is. It will just come to you as an inspired thought. It's like it's just given to you. And you're like, oh my God, I just have this amazing thought. And it feels really good and really happy and really helpful. That's the Holy Spirit. That's the after effects of joining with God. And I think everyone's familiar with the line, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be added unto you. This is what this means when we join with God in true prayer. You're seeking first the kingdom of heaven. You're joining with God first. Then all else will be added unto you. The echoes, maybe an answer will come to you in a form that you didn't expect, right? In a form, but that you can accept and understand. The Holy Spirit knows that. It knows what we're asking. So we don't have to worry about the specifics and even ask for the specific. The key is just do the joining with God. So I have found that this true prayer, along with forgiveness, along with the wonderful tool of knowing that we can turn our days over to the Holy Spirit from the beginning and clarify at the beginning how we want to experience our day. Not that we're in control of what happens. That's just the effect. But we can set the tone for our day by clarifying what do we want to come of this. In other words, how do we want to experience the world today? How do I want to experience myself today as I walk about the dream? I go about the dream recognizing I'm the dreamer of the dream, but not really the figure in the dream. So when we do all of these things combined, these are actually tools we're given that we can actually use, which does unblock us from our true power. And these are some of the key ways and things that the Course talks about and how to do that. Jesus does talk about how we are much too tolerant of mind wandering, and we're passively condoning our mind's miscreations. So he's so loving and gentle when he shares these things with us, basically saying, you know, let's watch our minds. Let's watch closely and be mindful of the thoughts we are carrying with us throughout the day in any given moment, really, because it's the thoughts we have that make our experience. And your mood will tell you which teacher you're choosing in your mind, you know, whether you are choosing the ego as your teacher or the Holy Spirit. Your mood will tell you, because if there's any thoughts of worry or doubt or fear or anxiety, any of that, we can be sure that we're thinking with the ego. And to choose the holy instant is to make that, and choose the miracle is really, really to recognize that we don't have to settle for such littleness in ourselves. We're not weak, but we're strong. You know, and four specific lines that I love to use from the Course, when I find myself getting tempted to choose the ego, is Jesus says, say to yourself, I am not weak, but strong. I'm not vulnerable, but invulnerable. I'm not powerless, but all powerful. I'm not doubtful, but certain. And allow yourself to just marinate in that, and in the meaning of that and what that means. You know, this is part of also the rejoining with ourselves, because when we don't do that, the ego's voice will be the one that's dominant. And it's the guilt. Guilt will just keep coming up. And sometimes you may find yourself forgiving something over and over again, and it seems like you're forgiving the same thing and nothing's happening. Well, I can assure you that something is happening when you're really doing the forgiveness. And the key is recognizing that when we do our part in forgiveness, an important part of forgiveness is actually being able to let go of attachment to results, the results of our forgiveness, letting go of the need to have a certain outcome, or this person has to change, you know, because I'm forgiving, so they're gonna change. That might not happen. But what's happening is your mind is changing about that, and you're becoming more peaceful the more you're undoing and chipping away at the unconscious guilt, which forgiveness helps us do. So the key is, let's do the forgiveness, but let go of how things are supposed to be as a result of that. Because if we find ourselves doing that, we're still making it real. When we demand that there should be a certain result, it's still forgiveness to destroy when that happens. So true forgiveness doesn't make demands. It just accepts responsibility that, well, I must be thinking with the ego. That's the cause of my upset. And then it sees, right? Forgiveness doesn't pardon sins and make them real, as the Course says. It sees there was no sin. And that view is all your sins are forgiven. In other words, we don't want to make something real and then forgive it after we've made it real. We want to see from the beginning that all of it's untrue. It never was real. No matter if it's a person in our lives that are really bothering us, or we feel like they're the cause of our losing our peace, that person is a projection. And that person is really just a reflection in a mirror showing us, right, these people around us that trigger us are blessings if we use it as an opportunity to recognize, oh, I must have been already in my wrong mind, or I wouldn't have perceived that person as attacking me. Because if we're in our right minds, we would only think of that person as calling for love. And then we would even go beyond that and say, well, they're not even really there. It's just part of my dream. I made up the figures in my dreams, just like I do in bed at night. And that person's not there. So how could they really be the cause if it's just all made up and it's a hallucination? So you can almost like throw these ideas sort of at yourself. You're allowing yourself to thought by thought, you know, step by step and thought by thought, work yourself gently back to the truth. which always is, this is my dream. This is my dream. And if it's my dream, that is actually a good thing, because then I have the power. Again, you can step it back into your power and recognize that I can change my mind about my dream because I made it up. And the dream can seem very real. And I'm not saying it's easy to do this sometimes, but with practice over time, it is a process. You're just develop trust that it's working. And over time, you will experience the benefits. And sometimes the benefits come in ways we don't expect. But what's really happening is the Holy Spirit's helping you remove the unconscious part of the guilt in your mind that you can't see when you're doing the forgiveness. So we can't see that part. But the Holy Spirit is helping us to remove, right, the guilt we can't see. So our job is to focus on consciously what we can see, those symbols that come up, that trigger us. Our part is just to notice those symbols. And so we can choose the miracle and then let the Holy Spirit deal with the unconscious part. And one final thing about this, sometimes it's really appropriate to actually uncover hidden beliefs that are so deeply rooted in your unconscious mind. Some form of therapy sometimes is helpful just to bring fearful, traumatic memories to the surface. So we don't have to analyze them, but it's helpful to bring them to the surface. And you could do that through hypnosis. You could do it through deeper work, with the therapist. But once it comes to the surface, then you can recognize that it really, really isn't your reality. And you can work with it. You take it step by step, and you can work with changing your mind about it once you uncover the deeply rooted guilt. So that can, for some people, that might be a helpful approach, aside from just doing the surface stuff. So with that, but the good news is that forgiveness always heals. And I'll turn it over to Gary.
All right. Way to go, Cindy. That was great, as usual. And good morning, everybody. Now, as is my tradition, I would like to begin with a joke, because I like to tell jokes in my workshops. So let me see. I have a deal with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit gives the teachings, but I get to choose the jokes. So let me see, which joke should I tell? Okay.
Up to you.
I got it. 2,000 years ago, Jesus, as a child, was very precocious. And his mother, Mary, was giving him a bath. And he was only 2 years old. But he's asking her questions, because as I said, he's a pretty bright kid. So he asks his mother, Mary, while she's giving him a bath, he says, Mommy, is this my arm? And Mary says, yes, Jesus, that's right. That's your arm. And then Jesus says, Mommy, and he points to his leg. And he says, is this my leg? And Mary says, yes, Jesus, that's right. That's your leg. And then Jesus points to his penis. And he says, Mommy, is this my brain? And Mary says to Jesus, she says, no, Jesus, not yet. So that's my starting joke. And what I'd like to do today is I want to emphasize the bigness of A Course in Miracles, because this is a very big teaching, and it's not always taught that way, but it's a huge teaching. For example, we're talking about unblocking. Well, when the Course talks right at the beginning about removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance, there's a lot going on there. Like removing the blocks, that is equal to the idea of undoing the ego. In fact, the Course says, as you know, salvation is undoing. By the way, that's a brilliant approach, because you don't have to do anything about the real you, right? The real you is already perfect. The real you is already exactly the same as your source, exactly the same as God, because God doesn't do different. God does perfect oneness, which is also the Course's definition of heaven, the awareness of perfect oneness and the knowledge that there is nothing else, nothing else outside of this oneness, nothing else within, which is why the Course says, be vigilant only for God and his kingdom. But we're removing the blocks, undoing the ego to the awareness of love's presence. Now, love's presence, that's not talking about human love. Not that there's anything wrong with human love. In fact, human love is symbolic of the love of God and can be, or it can be special love. But you want to think big when you're talking about A Course in Miracles. So the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. Well, your natural inheritance is nothing less than the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven was given to you by God. You don't have to earn it. Like if you gave me a Christmas present, I don't have to earn it. It's mine. You gave it to me. And you don't have to earn the kingdom of heaven. It's yours. God gave it to you. But you do have to awaken in order to experience it. And it's experiencing it that is the cool thing. That's the awareness of love's presence. And it's right here. That kingdom of heaven, love's presence is here right now, everywhere. The truth has not gone anywhere. It's still here. And the truth is God, and God is a constant. A constant does not shift or change, which is why the Course says that whatever is true is eternal and cannot change or be changed. That narrows it down quite a bit. But it's that awareness of the presence of God, the presence of the kingdom that we're going for. It reminds me of something that Jesus said 2,000 years ago. And you can see this in the Gospel of Thomas. The disciples went up to Jesus and we said, when will the kingdom come? When will the kingdom come? Because we were anxious. We wanted the kingdom to come. And he said, well, it will not come by watching for it. It will not be said, behold here or behold there. Rather, the kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth and people do not see it. Well, the reason they don't see it is because it's out of their awareness. It's not that it's not here right now, but people don't see it because it's being blocked. It's being blocked by the ego. And the only way to unblock it and become aware of it and actually experience it is to undo the ego. And all of the ideas in the Course, which fit together like a hologram, are very big ideas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly go through the steps of forgiveness. But before I do, you've got to remember one thing. Because if you don't remember this one thing, you can't do A Course in Miracles. And you can't do the kind of forgiveness that is the centerpiece of A Course in Miracles without remembering this one thing. Don't make it real. You can't make it real. If you make it real, then whatever it is you think that you're forgiving is going to stay stuck in your mind forever. And you will just keep coming back here in dream lifetimes over and over and over again until you learn how to release it. Because if you can do forgiveness the right way, which is to forgive people, not because they've really done something, but to forgive people because they haven't really done anything, because you're the one who made them up in the first place, then you can do the kind of forgiveness that A Course in Miracles is talking about. One of the favorite things of mine that the Course says, it says, what if you realized this world is a hallucination? What if you really understood that you made it up? What if you recognized that all of those who appear to walk about in it and attack and murder and destroy themselves are wholly unreal? They are completely unreal. So, I'll, say this fairly early because we don't have much time. And I know that most of you are advanced students of the course. So I just want to make sure you understand that all these people who they're not real people. Okay? They're not real people. They are what the course describes as images. And the course says at the end of the text, it says, the images you make cannot prevail against what God himself would have you be. So what we're doing is we're releasing these images by forgiving them. And by doing that, we're also releasing ourselves. I don't have time to describe to you how the mind works, except for one thing. There's really only one of us. There's even in the illusion, there's just one ego appearing as many. In fact, that's what the Hindus called it, the one appearing as many. And if you could get down deep enough into the mind, then you would find out that Carl Jung was right, that there's a collective unconscious because we all have the same mind. And at the unconscious level, that mind knows everything. And it knows that there's really just one of us. So to make a long story short, that mind is going to interpret anything that you think about another person to really be about you. That's pretty sobering thought. People wonder why they're depressed. They wonder why they're not happy. Just look at the garbage they've been thinking about people their whole lives, because they didn't understand that everything that they think is going out there to somebody else. There isn't anybody else, not really. It's really just going to them. Now, that's an idea that has hurt some people, but it's also an idea that you can take and use to your advantage. Because if you understand that, you can change your mind. You can think differently. There's a very important law of the mind that is articulated in the course. It says, as you see him, you will see yourself. And it must be pretty important, because then it says, never forget this. And that person, you'll either find yourself or lose yourself. And it's up to you, because now that you know that, you can take that and you can use the power of decision to completely change the way that you feel about yourself, and ultimately, even what you believe you are. You can change your identity. And I'm going to go over the 3 steps really quickly, but I want to put them in perspective. The first thing is, you go to judge somebody. Well, that's kind of like a habit that the ego has given us over the illusory lifetimes of billions of years. And we're so used to reacting and so used to judging. So the first step is you got to stop yourself. It's like Jim Carrey in that movie, The Mask. Somebody stop me. You got to stop yourself. Stop yourself from judging. When you go to have a judgment of somebody, stop yourself. That takes discipline. Well, that's what the workbook is for in the first place. The workbook gets you into the habit of thinking with the Holy Spirit instead of the ego. That takes time, it takes training. But if you can stick with it, and it does take perseverance, and it does take practice, a lot of practice, but if you can do that, then you'll be able to stop yourself. If you can do that, then you can go to the second step. The second step is when you choose the right teacher. What the course would call the holy instant. That instant when you choose the Holy Spirit as your teacher instead of the ego. The ego is all based on separation, which is why the ego loves judgment. The ego loves differences. How can you have judgment without differences? And how can you have differences without separation? So you got to choose the right teacher. And the Holy Spirit is going to have a totally different story for you about what's going on. For example, let's say that I'm out here on the freeway in LA and somebody cuts me off in traffic. And my first instinct is to go, that son of a bitch, or just, really react, but I stop myself. If I can do that, and you can get into the habit of stopping yourself in 1 second and switch to the right teacher. Now, the Holy Spirit is going to say, well, you know, you were almost upset there. And the reason is because you were going to make it real. How do I know? Because if you weren't making it real, you wouldn't be upset. You know, it's kind of like a prerequisite. So if you stop making it real, then you won't be upset. It's just like the Course says in that section, the hero of the dream. You know, who reacts to figures in a dream unless he sees them as if they were real? The instant that he sees them as they are, they have no more effects on him because he understands he gave them their effects by causing them and making them seem real. Because there's nobody out there, you know, and there's nobody out there looking at you. You made them up. You know, if you were in a movie theater, you wouldn't think that the screen was looking at you. The screen is not looking at you. You made up the screen. The world is not being done to you. The world is being done by you. It's coming from you. That's why this is a course in cause and not effect. You know, so you start to realize that what you're saying is not true and you can forgive it, not because something really happened, but because nothing has happened, which brings up one other point that is the big story of the Course, and that is the principle of the atonement. The principle of the atonement is that the separation never occurred. You know, it never happened. The separation from God never happened, which means that you never left heaven. You're still there. And so is everybody else. You're just having this dream. You know, so the Course says you are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to reality. How do you awaken to reality? By doing these 3 steps. You know, so now you're listening to the right teacher and you're starting to think with the Holy Spirit. And after a few years, you may realize that you are the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit is the right part of your mind. And that's what you really are, as opposed to the ego, which is something that has nothing to do with you really. It's just a false belief that you temporarily bought into. You know, at one point in the Course, and this is where you want to think like the Holy Spirit, it says, everywhere the Holy Spirit looks, he sees himself. Why? Because the Holy Spirit overlooks the body, doesn't make it real. The Holy Spirit overlooks the separation, overlooks the body, overlooks the madness and the craziness that we see out there in the world, and thinks of that person as being what they really are and where they really are. And this is where the 3rd step comes in. And the 3rd step is that you think of that person with what the Course calls vision. My teachers aren't in person to call it spiritual sight. The Course calls it vision. And this is something else that is really big. When you overlook the body, spiritual sight is the way that you think. And you think of that person in terms of reality, what they really are. Like if you're going to heal somebody who you thought was sick, in the manual for teachers, and this goes along with the way that Jesus healed people 2,000 years ago. The manual says that at no time does the teacher of God consider the nature of the illness that he is healing. What you do is you overlook the body, you overlook the illness, and you replace the illusion with the truth. You replace it with the knowledge that that person is a divine, perfect creation of God. And that's how you think about them. And if it's true that as you see him, you will see yourself, and it is true, then eventually that is how you will come to think of yourself. You know, this 3rd step that I'm talking about, vision, there's a beautiful section in the text of the Course called The Forgotten Song. And it was one of Helen Schuckman's favorite parts of the Course. And it's one of my favorite parts of the Course. I have it memorized. I'm just going to give you like 2 paragraphs from that section because it gives you a good idea of the magnitude of what I'm talking about, of what a big course this is, because what you really are is something that is bigger than the universe of time and space. You know, it's something that can't even be contained by the universe of time and space. This part of the Course says, beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see, and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches, as you look, into a great and shining circle. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining, and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity, nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside. For there is nowhere that this light is not. This is the vision of the Son of God, whom you know well. Here is the sight of him who knows his Father. Here is the memory of what you are. That section concludes by saying, what is a miracle but this remembering? And who is there in whom this memory lies not? The light in one awakens it in all. And when you see it in your brother, you are remembering for everyone. And you are remembering for everyone because every mind is joined, because we are one. And every time you do this kind of forgiveness, when you put those three things together, you stop yourself, you choose the right teacher, you engage in what the Course calls vision. Every time you do that, the Holy Spirit is doing some kind of a healing.
Right.
That's why the Course says that a miracle is never lost. You can have undreamed of effects in situations of which you are not even aware.
Well,
So there's always some kind of a healing going on.
I don't want to stop you. There were so many nuggets that I would like to remember, but we do need to, we're going to do something special here for our VIPs. They're going to go to the green room through the magic of Zoom, along with Gary and Cindy. They're going to be whisked off to the green room where Reverend Tony is going to be waiting, and they're going to have an opportunity to engage, to chat, and to ask some questions with Cindy and Gary. And the rest of you are going to stay here and chat with me or take a break. And then when we come back at the top of the hour, we're going to be hearing from Maureen Muldoon. So team is going to whisk people away to the green room. If you happen to see a button that you need to, it may happen automatically, or you may have to push a little button. If you do need to push the button, go ahead and do that. All you VIPs, go ahead and whisk yourselves away. And sometimes it's in the toolbar down at the bottom where you might be. So that was an amazing talk with some amazing highlights. I still see some VIPs who aren't whisked away yet. Oh, there they go. They're sort of popping away. And they're having a chance to chat with Gary and Cindy. Anyone here who has not been whisked away, you want to raise your hand and we'll make sure. David Blood is supposed to be whisked away to the green room. There, team, can you find David Blood on there and see if we can't send him off? Oh, you're okay? Well, we'll see how that goes. Okay, I think and then we've got Angela Skeen. Okay, you need to be slipped away to the green. Okay, Angela, do we have Angela? Team, could you take a look for Angela? And for those of us who are left, oh, I got another one here. Is it Fran? Fran, you're a VIP? Okay, so Fran, team, do you see Fran here? Fran Spain, there's something missing on the end of your name, I think I remember, right? Spain, well, so Fran needs to be swept away by magic. I think that'll happen, Fran, in a minute here. And then Isabel, Isabel Crowley, are you also VIP? And Paul Larson, we need to check you. Okay, so we'll have the team will be checking. You know, we're going to be doing this all throughout the weekend. We have speakers, and they're going to talk for about, let's say 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes. And then we're going to whisk the VIPs and the speakers off to the green room, where the VIPs will have more of an opportunity to ask, you know, questions, to chat with them. And so we will be working on that. If you are not designated a VIP, we will get on that. We'll figure out what's going on and make sure that everybody is designated the way they're supposed to be, so that you can be whisked away. And it's a real nice opportunity to do that. I think Fran, we just lost Fran. So for those of you who are left, is there anyone who'd like to make some comments about, there were so many gems that were included in there, that both Gary and Cindy talked about. Anyone have any thoughts? You know, if you do, just wave your hand. And Paul Larson, are you oh, your hand's up. Is that for VIP or was that to comment?
It's VIP.
Yeah, Paul is for VIP. The team is there, he disappeared. All right. Is there anyone else who, I see a hand was, oh no, Paul's still there. All right. Is there anybody else? Reverend Kim Wilson, did you want to say something there? Okay, if we can unmute Reverend Kim, let's see. There you go.
Thank you so much, Reverend Deb. I didn't quite catch everything. I had to get outside with Isis, but coming back in and hearing, don't make it real first. And I've heard that last few days a lot. To me, that was the gem that he said, we made him up. It's not Kiko. Kiko didn't do it. It ain't Mama, you know. So thank you so much for this opportunity to join.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Is there anyone else who had some thoughts about something they heard that resonated with them, something that they thought was good to bring back into our attention? Because, you know, when you share this, you're really helping all of us key back in on some of the important thoughts that were brought up, and there were so many of them. So anybody here, can you get Maureen? Oh, Maureen. Hi, Maureen. Would you? Yes, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I love hearing them talk, first of all. Is there an echo?
No, we're good now. Go ahead.
Good, okay. But what I loved was the stop, choose again, and hold a higher vision. And it was like a super simple recipe that you can tuck in your pocket. Stop the old story. I felt like it was like stop, drop, and roll. Like stop the old story, drop into the new teacher or the better teacher, and then roll with the new story. And I personally, you know, I'm a terrible cook. I love a good recipe. So that was helpful.
I love that stop, drop, and roll analogy. That was, I can remember that. That's really good and so true. Yeah, there were a lot of gems in there. I especially like that message about how big this is. That really this entire course is a complete prescription for life and beyond. I mean, life that we think we are in, but really the bigger life and beyond. Everything that we need is there. And I appreciate that he was pointing out that we sometimes forget how big it is. So anyone else have something that they'd like to share about what you heard, or something that you find is really special about the course that resonates with you, I think I saw a hand up. Yeah, Bob. It's Bob. Yeah, hi Bob. How are you?
Hi there. I just wanted to say that making error real is a big theme in the course, and it also was echoed a lot by Dr. Ken Wapnick. And one thing that I've used in connection with that is, especially in my earlier days of study, is to say when adverse things appear to happen in my life, to say it just doesn't matter. And that brings to mind the overall importance of what we're really here for. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. And I want to say thank you for your kind words. He sent us a nice email when he received the box of miracle gifts. That was really thoughtful. Thank you. We appreciated hearing that. Anyone else have thoughts about the course, or thoughts that you'd like to share with each other, or just thoughts about what any of this has brought up for you? Celia. Oh, there you are. Hi, Celia.
Hi, that was great. That was the first time I'd heard Cindy speak. In Gary's section, he said the first step is to stop yourself. And for me, that is identifying the thought and writing it down, stop on paper. And then I can take it to inquiry. I do the work. And then his last step was, I'm at home in God. It's my favorite question to Steph is, what could be better than this? And I read a Jerry Jampolsky book recently, and one of his chapter headings was, now is another name for love. And that's my experience when I'm at home in God, when I'm in prayer. Now is another name for love. What could be better than this?
Oh, those are beautiful insights. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we appreciate that. Again, yep, we got some hearts going on here. Any other thoughts? Anyone else have something that you'd like to, give? It's a way of giving to all of us. Any thoughts that you have? All minds are joined, and so when you go ahead and share a thought, you're really sharing with those of us who are you. So it's kind of like talking to yourself in a way, but it helps all of us here as we move through as we move through the illusion, as we move closer to truth, as we move closer to Jesus and to our own guides. And that's something that we want to do is, this whole idea of unblocking what's in the way of listening to your own guides. Sometimes just being able to speak the words helps you listen to what's inside. I know a lot of times I was not enthused about sharing things because, I just I don't really have a need to share. But now, more and more I realize that my sharing, my being maybe more honest or open with what the thoughts are in my head is really a connecting with others. So, that's why I appreciate people like Gary and Cindy and Maureen Muldoon, Lisa Natoli, and Evie Gibbons, and these others who are willing to come on with us this weekend and share what they've learned over time, share what they've uncovered in terms of what works for them and in their study of the course, and to share it with us. And because that it resonates with us, we hear things that maybe we've already read in the course, and it brings it back to our attention. I once heard, I think it was Tony Robbins, who said that people need to hear something 7 times before it starts to stick. And then the next time I heard them say it, they said it was 16. I thought, aren't we boring people when we say things over and over and over? But then I thought about the course. I mean, doesn't the course just take like about 1,000 pages to say the same thing over and over and over in a million different ways, and we still don't get it? I mean, really, and every time we read it, it's like, oh, did I ever read that before? And yet it's said over and over and over. So hearing it over and over and over again, it is not new. I mean, it is not old. It's new. It feels new every time. And so every time we share this. The other thing that I realized once upon a time was I wrote this book with my mother about raising boys to have a success mindset. And it was based upon a summer camp that my parents owned. And I was really, it was a dilemma for me to think about, well, how am I going to tell people what this book is about, because I mean, everything that could possibly be written about parenting has already been written. And all I had to do is look back through all of those magazine articles that I ripped out when I was a new parent, you know, many, many years ago. And it's all been written, all the things that, but then I realized, you know, every crop of parents is brand new, and it's all brand new to them. It might have been written already, but it's all brand new to those of us who are coming to it. It might already have been said, but like Tony Robbins now says, you have to hear it 16 times before it starts to stick. And like the Course has done, it's over and over. And none of us should feel any anxiety or guilt or judgment about we didn't get it. It was in there and we haven't gotten it yet. We haven't figured it out yet, because you know what? That's why we're here. If we got it, we wouldn't be here. So we're here. That's our job. Our job is to be here and to work on getting it, because if we got it, we wouldn't be here. I like to say that, you know, Jesus is our example, and we say, well, he, you know, obviously he was the example and he shows that we can all do it. But think about this. He wandered around for, what was it, 30 years, having experiences that raised his faith and raised his trust, and we'll be talking about that. But after he got it, he didn't stick around for very long. He wasn't here for very long. So, you know, if we're here, we're still doing the job that we decided to come here to do. So good for us, and there should be no judgment about if we haven't gotten it yet. That's perfectly fine. So in just a few minutes, we're going to come on back in. Maureen Muldoon is going to talk to us. I can't wait to hear what she says. She is so engaging, so interesting, so funny. And Reverend Tony will be back with us, and he's going to share with us a little bit about Maureen, and we'll bring all our people back in. Can we bring our people back in?
They tell me I'm on. So, hey, hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Wasn't that amazing? We had a great little Q&A over there in the green room. It was great. I'm sure the others were great here with Deb. So we're moving right along. So we're moving right along to our next presentation. And I am just really happy and honored to be able to introduce our next speaker, who is Maureen Muldoon. Maureen is just an amazing woman, a mom, a wife, a teacher, an author. You know, one of the things that I know about Maureen is just her energy is just so powerful. This is a real powerful person, a real powerful woman. She's always just says provocative things, and her book, Spiritual Vixens, has this provocative cover. I know some people have, you know, a little challenge with this cover, but I, as a guy, kind of like it. So woohoo to you, Maureen, for having the chutzpah to get yourself in that position and do that cover. Spiritual Vixens, I love it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Maureen, for being here on day number 1, unblock. And let's just turn it over. Let's just give her a great unblock, unlock, and rock welcome. Hold up an emoji and take it away, Maureen.
Well, thank you so much, Reverend Tony.
Maureen was connected there, and she'll be back in just a second. So we're going to wait and give her a chance to come on back on. You know, sometimes people were talking about feedback. If you, and I know not everyone has this, but sometimes if you've got your phone also and your computer in the same room, you can sometimes get a feedback signal or an echo or not. We're not exactly sure why sometimes that happens. We know that we've checked on our end. Our team is always checking our signal here and our you know, she's gonna come back in through our dashboard. So as soon as she comes back on, we're gonna put her back up, and we'll just work with that time and make sure we have enough time to share with her. Yeah, Lydia says, just love her. She's really, even Lady Gaga has tech issues.
Yeah.
You know, you can read more about Maureen in your workbook for today. You'll see that Maureen is on, you know, our presenters are actually, for those of you who are wondering, they're in the workbook, pretty much in the order in which they're going to be presenting. There might be a couple missing, but because we sent this to print before we had everyone lined up. But Maureen, she has Speakeasy Spiritual Community. You know, she was also an actress. She was on TV in a number of shows. And she says, I listen for the miracles that live beneath the mundane and assist you in seeing, sharing, and living your most engaged, impactful, and unapologetic story. Really? Hey, Diane, thanks for the suggestion. We've talked to the team about that, and they've said that that's not the issue.
Let me chat for a bit since we got some time. I guess Holy Spirit has a little different communication here to go for a few minutes. So, Community Miracle Center is a really big tent organization, and we know now that there are a variety of versions of A Course in Miracles that people can study, and we want people to know that we embrace all of them. So there's the Robert Perry Circle of Atonement edition of A Course in Miracles. This one came out in very recently, actually, in 2017. A lot of people love that book. There is, of course, the classic A Course in Miracles edition from the Foundation for Inner Peace, the Blue Book. This is probably still the one that a majority of people use. And all of us who are long-term Course in Miracles students have a great fondness for this book. This, of course, would be the book that followed from Helen Schuckman and, the first people that published it. And everybody in A Course in Miracles, of course, has a certain fondness for that book. There is the original edition, which is the black book with the pearls. And this is the edition that's based on the version of A Course in Miracles that was found in the ARE library during the copyright trial. So it's really based on an earlier edit of A Course in Miracles. So Maureen is back. Maureen is back, okay?
Yay, let's pull her back in.
And the UUR text. So I guess Maureen is back, and so we will take it away, Maureen.
Hi there. Hi there. I do not know what
Go
happened
for
to
it,
my
Maureen.
computer.
We're good.
So can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm so glad that I'm here. And thanks for inviting me.
Okay.
And this is a healing opportunity for all of us. So my husband's coming underneath me to plug in other apparatuses because we weren't planning for my computer to just conk out. So here we are. I wanted to take a moment just to invite anybody whose first conference this is to, and anyone this is their 11th, 10th, or 12th conference, to just send a blessing to you from my heart. These conferences have been so important in my own spiritual development, and I've gotten so many blessings and lessons from being a part of these conferences. So I just thank Tony and his team for putting them on year after year. It's incredible. When I first started studying A Course in Miracles, I studied because I was in a lot of pain. And I came to this course, many of you know I came because my first husband left me for Miss Universe. And that was just part of the story. There was other problems that I had in my own life, and I was just beginning to get sober. And I found A Course in Miracles. 12-step kind of worked for me. It got me to a place of a little bit of relief, but I still had toxicity every time I thought about the situation. And I prayed to the Holy Spirit, like, please bring me something that's going to take me all the way to true liberty and forgiveness, right? And I ended up finding A Course in Miracles. And at the time I was in so much pain that I don't know, there was a place within me that just knew that this was going to be the thing that helps me to jump the fence. And so I began to study it like, the dying come to water. So I began to study it. And I didn't know that there were people studying it. I didn't know that there were people teaching it. I didn't know there was a whole community around it. I just began to study it, and a friend of mine said, "Can you put together a group to help share whatever you're learning in this book?" And I thought, sure, I can do that. And I noticed that as I began to continue to share it, that it became more and more and more important to me. I came upon that part in the course. It says, Principle 15, that every day should be devoted to miracles. And from the very beginning, I attempted to do that, even though I was in this lawsuit. So it was weird because in the morning I would study the course, and in the afternoon I would go to court. And I do not recommend those two things. They don't mix well together. Like I was like torn between two lovers, you know, the new idea of liberation and freedom and my desire to be right and make somebody else wrong. So I began to study with Ken Wapnick early on. I found him through YouTube. And I remember one time I went down to visit him for my birthday. I bought a ticket down to a workshop that they were doing there. I think it was called The Emperor's New Clothes or something like that. So I went down to see him, and I remember I went into the room, and I had been studying for about 4 years. And he said to the group, any new students who have just started studying, please put your hand up. And I remember looking around the room thinking, like, who are the new students? Who are the new students? And then he said, anyone who has been studying less than 15 to 20 years. And I was like, I almost fell off my chair. I was like, what the hell is wrong with these people that they could be studying a book for 15 to 20 years? Like, what could be in this book that needs to be studied that long? Are these people a bunch of knuckleheads? So what I didn't know at the time was that this is not actually a book, that it's a vortex, that it's a spiritual vortex that takes us deeper and deeper and deeper into love. And as we go deeper and deeper and deeper into love, that's my husband's beautiful hands. Thank God for good men. Behind every strong woman is a good man. Thank you, Will. As we fall deeper and deeper and deeper into love, we begin to go deeper into this book and our relationship with our divine. And it might begin with opening up this book and beginning to read all of these nuggets and nuances about spiritual principles and being like, oh my gosh, and finding people to say like, oh my gosh, do you see what it says in this book? Like, this is incredible. Like, and you flip the pages and every single page, there's like a mind blow on it. And you find yourself like around other people and saying like, wow, this book is incredible. There's so much that I didn't know. There's so much that I'm remembering. There's so much that I'm letting go. And at this stage of the game, it's like we're finding places to talk about God. And if that was ever new for you, it was new for me in the beginning when I began to talk about God, because prior to that, I talked about hanging out. I talked about smoking. I talked about drinking. I talked about getting my good, but I didn't really have a practice of speaking about God. And after I began to get comfortable with that, the next phase that happens as we dive deeper into the vortex of this book is that we find ourselves talking about God and then finding ourselves like marinating in the beauty of these principles to the point where it sometimes just leaves us silent, and we start to contemplate and integrate, and holy moly, we end up even in meditate. And you think, who the fuck am I meditating? Like, I never thought I was a meditator. In fact, people told me my whole entire life that I should be meditating. And I always thought like, no, I don't meditate. And then we find ourselves dipping in a little bit deeper into the vortex, and we find ourselves speaking to God through prayer and meditation. And then after we find ourselves speaking of God and then speaking to God, we get to the place where we get into these conversations, and suddenly one day our mouths say the very thing that our ears have been craving to hear. And we say these things and our ears hear them and we go, well, that's true. And we look around the room thinking, who said that? How did I know that? Where did that come from? And at that point, we realize, oh, I'm speaking for God. And so this is the idea of moving into the vortex of A Course in Miracles, speaking about God, speaking to God, speaking for God. And then as we dip even deeper and like become what I like to call a sugar cube melting in the hot tea of God, at that point we fall into the relationship of speaking as God. But when that happens, we stop speaking because all we need to do is listen. And I hope that you have experienced these phases, because these phases we can vacillate between them. And what drives me crazy, if you're going to ask, what drives me crazy is that we have all levels of awareness around this course. And sometimes we have the ability to take it too seriously and go about correcting each other for where you're at. And any given day, you could be moving through these phases. So what I would say is, when Gary talked about like, don't make it real, also don't use it as a weapon against anyone or yourself. Like really don't use this to harm yourself. This is meant to bring us closer to our own divinity. That's a very beautiful and precious thing. When I began, after studying with Ken Wapnick, I got some other great teachers, and I love great teachers, and I love my great teachers. One of them was Dove Fishman, and one of them was Joe Wolf. Joe Wolf and I became dear friends right off the bat, and we started doing workshops together. And before every workshop, Joe would do the last lesson. And the last lesson, as you know, is this holy instant would I give to you. Be you in charge, that I would follow you, certain that your direction brings me peace. This holy instant would I give to you. Be you in charge, that I will follow you, certain that your direction brings me peace. And as we follow that lesson, and it repeats itself 6 or 7 days, like we get closer and closer into the realization and revelation that everything really is given to us. That the Lord is our shepherd, that we shall not want for a single thing. That everything that you need is at hand. So, and when we find that, this holy instant, what I give to you, be you in charge, certain that your direction will give me peace. When we find that peace, and we talk about this theme today is unblock your power, that peace is your power. That peace and power are synonymous. So how do we unblock that power? Gary and Cindy touched on it already through forgiveness. And this is the thing, like forgiveness is, it's almost like, yeah, it's just forgiveness. It's like for me as a student, I was like, but what does that look like? Like, I love this theory, but please give me a fucking application so I know if I'm going in the right direction, because I can fuck myself 60 times till Tuesday. So I need to know, like, how does it look in human form? It's nice to keep things up in the thought. It's nice to converse about them, but how am I going to actually embody it if I don't see an example of it? And we have great teachers who have given us great examples. Jesus was one of them. But here's one example that I had that was called to share today. So I had this experience at Columbia University. It's not the same experience that Bill and Helen had there. Bill and Helen met at Columbia University, but I had this experience when I was a kid. I was 16 years old, sweet 16. I went into New York City to visit my best friend. We were both sweet 16. I was one day older than her. And we went out to a bar, and I ended up being raped that night on the campus of Columbia University. And I don't share this story to trigger anyone, but to simply give you an applicable experience of what forgiveness can look like. So you can imagine that was a very traumatizing experience. And because of that traumatizing experience, I made up a lot of stories. Like one of the stories was, I'm too stupid to navigate a college campus. Or college campuses are not safe places. So we have these infractions that happen. We move into unforgiveness towards ourselves and others, and then we begin to build a defense against our ever stepping out into the awareness of safety. So these unforgivenesses, these grievances, they're defenses because they're literally fences that help to hold up the illusion that they will keep us safe. But of course they don't. They keep us small, is what they do. So for a long time, I went along with that story. And as you can imagine, if you've had this experience, which many people do, you go around the world wearing this very heavy cloak of shame. And I walked into every threshold, every door, every room, this idea that I had been trespassed walked with me. And I remember when I went to practitioner training, I met with this practitioner. She was actually a Course in Miracles teacher. Her name is Maribel, and she works out of North Hollywood, religious science. And I went to see her, and I had one session with her. I went to the practitioner because to get my license, they said, you have to look at your finances and you have to make sure you're healed. You have to look at your sexuality and you have to make sure you're healed. So number one, if you have a problem with the cover of my book, you probably have sexuality issues. So you probably need a little healing, you know, no judgy, but this is what's up, right? If you have, you know, any issues with relationships, like this is a time to heal so that you can be helpful. So I went to this practitioner around this situation, and I thought in my mind, I will never be healed of this. I will go to her because I want to be a good student, but I will never be healed of this. Like this is like deeply branded on my soul. And I went into this practitioner session, and gosh, she said to me the words I want to say to you because I want you to know, and I want to extend this healing to you if you have suffered in this way, any way, shape, or form, if you have perpetuated this suffering or if you have suffered in this way. And the words that she told me were, there is a place within you that has never been touched or tainted by this experience. There is a place within you that has never been touched or tainted by this experience. For so long, I had been living from that other place, that illusion of that identity that had been touched and tainted. And when she said those words to me, I remembered that that was true. And I made a commitment to myself that I was going to live from that place of pristine innocence. And I walked out of that practitioner session, one session, my mind was ready. And I never looked back. And I never walked into another room feeling shame or blame or ridicule or judgment. So I know that, you know, when we come through these experiences with forgiveness, it's about really changing our minds and being able to look the demons and the dragons right in the eyes and being unafraid and being brave enough to look beyond it. You know, so long, I like to say to people that sometimes we stare at the thorns on the roses when we could lift our chin just a little bit and see all of the roses that are there as well. But here's the thing. What I know is that when we're healed, we're not healed alone. Like walking out of that room feeling empowered was power. It was reconnecting me with my God power. That was awesome enough. But the fact that I could go to other places and spaces where people might have had this experience and I could share this with them, like that was beyond power. That was what led me to believe in the universal aspect of healing, that we are all walking each other home, that we are all healing each other. And the healing that I do for my mind is the same healing that happens in your mind. And the healing that you do in your mind is the same healing that happens in my mind. And so this is the work that we get to do together. You know, this is the powerful, beautiful work that we get to do together and for each other. And that's really important because it's purposeful and it's helpful. So when she gave me this idea about myself, I held that as something very, very precious. And I share it as something very, very worthy. And just like Gary was sharing, like I stopped the old story. I changed my mind about the interpretation of the situation, and I began to see a new vision around it. And the truth is, which might sound really insane, is that when I have seen people come to me and say, thank you for delivering that message to me. I know this sounds crazy, but the initiation is worth the liberation of other people. And I don't mean to sound like a martyr, but that's just my truth. That's just my truth. And so I know that that can be true for all of us. So that's what authentic forgiveness looks like, when it's turned around so much that you're like literally like, this was needed for the grand plan of God. I don't know why it was needed or why it happened that way, but this is what is going to be used. I'm going to take this sand, this grit that got inside the oyster, and I'm going to sit with that, and I'm going to marinate on that until I turn this motherfucking sand into a pearl. And then I'm going to put it in my crown, and I'm going to walk around the world knowing who the fuck I am. Sorry about my language. I'm really not. So that's the idea of authentic forgiveness. Get it in your bones, okay? Don't just talk about it. Don't just think about the theory. Like, demonstrate it in your body. Set yourself free so you can set me free. Set yourself free so you can set your son free. Set yourself free so you can set your mother free. Like, that's how it works. The other thing that I wanted to share with you today, if I have time, was characteristics of a good teacher of God. Because doing the forgiveness work is major work, as you can tell, and it's beautiful and it's worthy and all of that. But sometimes we get to the place where like we really feel like we've reached the awareness that like I no longer have to be hung up and strung out by the situations of the world. I can immediately turn them into the idea that I'll be blessed by this. And so there's not a lot for me to unroot and bring up to light anymore. And maybe you feel this way as well, but there does need to be a maintenance plan. And I feel like the teachers of God, the characteristics of a good teacher of God is the maintenance plan. And if you haven't dipped into that lately, you know, it's a really good thing to look at. So the first aspect of a good teacher, because we're all teachers here, and the first aspect of a good teacher is trust. It says that this is the only one that can be developed. And my teacher, Dove Fishman, would always say, trust means to rely upon spirit totally. It's like, I love that because I am a word whiz and I love playing with words. So to rely upon spirit totally, that's an acronym. And it says in the course, teachers of God have trust in the world because it's not governed by the power that is in them, but not of them. It is the power that keeps all things safe. And, you know, being safe and feeling safe is a really important thing to develop trust. If I don't feel safe, I'm not going to develop trust. When I was on the movie set in Los Angeles, I talked to this director I was working with. He was a very famous director. And I said to him one day, like, what is the most important thing that you can do for, you know, to be a director and to work with actors and to do films? And he said, the most important thing that I do as a director, and this was interesting to me because I thought it would be like find a good script or tell a good story or get the lighting right or get a good team. But he said the most important thing I can do as a director is to make sure that my actors feel safe. And I thought, wow, that's a really interesting thing to contemplate. How do we make each other feel safe? Well, one thing is we stop judging each other. And how do we allow ourselves to feel safe? If I don't feel safe in the world, and Einstein asks us this, you have to decide, do you live in a safe or unsafe world? And so in order for me to feel safe in this world, if I don't feel safe, I have to get a bigger God. That's it. If I feel unsafe, I must have a very small God. And I must not be sitting too close to her on the bus. So I need to get a bigger God and I need to sit a little bit closer. And you know what I've found is that our God is so big that there always seems to be a seat next to her. How fantastic is that? So how big is your God? You know, to develop great faith, expand the awareness of your God by practicing principle 15. Every day is devoted to miracles. The next one is honesty. And I love the definition of honesty in the course in the teacher's manual because I always thought it was just like a Billy Joel song, like just try and be honest with each other. But actually it says it's consistency. It means your mind, your mouth, your heart, and your gut are all in alignment. So your mind isn't going to think that motherfucking bitch, and your mouth saying, hi, how are you? it's good to see you. Like, that's not what we're gonna do. If I think you motherfucking bitch, then I should probably say, you know what? I feel like saying you motherfucking bitch right now. Like, I'm sorry that I'm saying that, but like, we probably have a healing that needs to happen here. And I'm up for that because I don't want to be out of consistency with my soul. I want to be truthful, and you can handle my truth and I can handle yours. So let's get really naked with each other. Let's get really transparent with each other. Let's get really willing with each other to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, even if it makes us feel uncomfortable. And if something makes you feel uncomfortable that you need to confess or come out with, then simply say that. Say, guess what? I feel totally uncomfortable right now. If you say that to whoever you're talking with, it will ignite within them some compassion, because we have all felt uncomfortable about speaking the truth. I've walked into rooms where my knees have rattled, where my head has spun from the truth that I needed to deliver. So I understand what it feels like to carry truth, and especially unspoken truth. Don't do that. Allow yourself to be consistent in all your ways and all your days, and not just consistent within yourself, but every single place you go to, whether it's the bar or the church or the brothel. I don't know why you're hanging out in brothels, but if you go there, I want to check it out, I guess. No judgment. Wherever you go, be who you are. Do not prepare masks. This is the one I wear for my family, and this is the one I wear for my friends, and this is one I wear for my ex-husband. Like, allow yourself to be seen for who you actually are. The world is craving your authenticity. So that next key characteristic is honesty, but it means so much more than just telling the truth. It means embodying the truth and taking the truth with you wherever you go. Because of our late start, I'm not sure how long I have. So if I don't get to finish all the key characteristics of a good teacher of God, you can join me at some other place and we'll chat about it. But the next one is tolerance. Again, I thought that tolerance meant like, I'm going to build up my tolerance for alcohol. Like, that's what I thought tolerance was. In A Course in Miracles, tolerance is such a beautiful concept. And what it means is to evaluate all things equally. Like, to equally have acceptance for all things. In the Course, it says, what could you not accept if you but knew that everything was gently planned for you by one who knows your highest good? Like, what could I not accept there? And so my tolerance is really about allowing myself to accept everything equally as a gift. You know, so it's like the sun. The sun doesn't say like, I'm going to shine on the blueberries and I'm going to shine on the strawberries, but I'm not going to shine on the poison ivy, and I'm going to give double dose to the marijuana pot plants. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. Now, it's really easy to talk about the sun and plants because it's so impersonal. And so we can understand that the sun falls on all things equally, but really what it's talking about is falling on all suns equally. So this is masterclass stuff. Am I loving this boy on the street the same way that I'm loving my own son in my home? That's it. That's what it means. The other day I looked out my window, there's a park across the street from me, and there was this boy sleeping on the park bench early in the morning, like 6. And I thought, I know what happened to him last night, because I have been there. I'm sober for a while now, but I have been there. And by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, he was still there. And I was like, if I was his mother, what would I do? So to be completely transparent with you, I was a little bit nervous. So I took my husband with me, and I was like, come on, we're going across the street. We got to bring some water and some Kind bars to this kid. He's probably starving. He's probably thirsty. He's probably like hella hungover. Like, we got to take care of him. That is what it looks like. You know, that's what it looks like to attempt to see all things as equally, and to have equal acceptance of all things, equal love for all things. If you do that for me, if you do that for my child, if I do that for you, if I do that for your child, we begin to create a world where everybody's child is cared for. I mean, wouldn't that be the most optimal use of our time here as miracle workers? Oh my gosh, my computer just showed up. turn that off. So the next one is gentleness. This one is, I'm not very good at gentleness. I have run roughshod over my life and many people for a long time. And what I noticed when studying gentleness was that when you Google gentleness, the thing that shows up is toilet paper. That's it. That's where we value gentleness. That's it. Otherwise, you will find a lot of memes about go get her, knock them dead, crush it, kill it, get it done, you know. So imagine, you know, if we were to groom our sons and daughters with the elixir of gentleness. What does that even feel like? To be completely honest and transparent with you, like this is an area that I'm working in my life, to be gentle with myself. When my computer, you know, died and I was screaming for my husband and I was like breaking a little sweat, you know, it was like, this is right where I need to be like, stop it, girl. Like God knows you. It's all well. I'm sure Tony has some shit he's got to say. Like, it's all good. Like, just take it easy, as my dad would say. Take it easy. This is something that I'm learning, you know, and if I'm learning it and healing my mind, then again, I'm healing your mind. And if you work on your own gentleness, you're helping me. And so I so appreciate your being more gentle with the world. And not only being more gentle with the world, but allowing the world to be more gentle with you. You know, when I first started dating my husband number 2, who is my trophy husband, and I'll show you a picture of him sometime. I really won the husband lottery, earned it though. And when we first started dating, he was so gentle with me. Now I had done a lot of work between husband number 1 and husband number 2, and you can find it out in that book with the lovely picture on the cover. I had done a lot of work. And so when he showed up being so gentle, I had done a lot of work, but I hadn't done really enough work, because he would be gentle with me and I'd be like, stop it. Stop doing that. Like I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle that degree of love. Isn't that funny? Maybe this is true for you. You know, maybe there are places where you have these interesting blocks up, and where you might want to stretch into an affirmation of, I'm ready to allow a tender love into my life. I'm ready to allow and receive a tender love. Because we can get used to these things, you know. So when I think about a tender love, I also think about the Blessed Mother, and I guess I should disclose for you if you don't already know it, but I am a profound and passionate devotee of the Blessed Mother. The Blessed Mother is the one who brought me to A Course in Miracles. I know that seems like unorthodox territory, because the Blessed Mother, although Jesus is mentioned all over A Course in Miracles, the Blessed Mother doesn't get any play. In fact, Mother shows up one time in the book, but that's okay, because I feel like she is woven through the entire text. In fact, I feel like every one of these key characteristics of a good teacher is actually a divine nurturing elixir. So it's not about gender. It's not about these constructs that we've created. My son is transgender, so I really learned the classroom of we are not a body. But it really is about getting to see the full facet of God, the full face of God. Again, like I know that we're working in symbols here, and that's okay. We don't have to judge each other for working in symbols. Like it's helpful to work in symbols sometimes. So gentleness is one of those characteristics of Divine Mother, and I very much appreciate it. The next one is joy, you know, and Cindy talked about this, happiness. Like happiness is my function. Lesson 102, 103, 104. I share God's will for happiness with me. God being love is also happiness. God's peace and joy are mine. How do we get so lucky that we find ourselves in philosophy and theology that offers us this very joyful path? This is the day the Lord has made for me to rejoice and be glad. My good is at hand, is actually like a truth in A Course in Miracles. Even though I learned that prayer in Catholicism, it wasn't really a truth for me in Catholicism, but in A Course in Miracles, I find it to be a truth, a radical and incredible and delightful truth that this is the day the Lord has made. This is the day the Lord has created for us to rejoice and be glad. And our good is at hand. How magnificent is that? So the next one is defenselessness. It says that foolish guardians of mad illusions. That's what defenses are. I like to think of defenses literally as a fence that I built around myself. And because I'm a woman who loves a long leash, I hate fences. I always want to jump the fence and see what's going on in your garden. So, these defenses are places that we have thought would keep us safe, but they've only served to keep us small. So, I'm singing to the choir here. We want to slowly dismantle these fences so that we can experience a broader reach of God through us out into the world. And playing small, Marianne Williamson says, like, it's not our light, it's not our darkness, it's not our light, but our darkness, it's not our light. That's gonna make me laugh. It's not our darkness, but our light that most frightens us. Yeah. So that's a blooper reel for you, Tony. So that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I can handle my small ways. I get like my little, my littleness. But like when you throw me out into the ocean, I'm like, oh my gosh. And this is where I get to lose myself, my little self, to the bigness of God. And so defenselessness. I highly recommend it.
So I'm gonna, Maureen, that was amazing. And if you don't know, we've got generosity, patience, faithfulness, and open-mindedness. We have to have you come back and finish this because this has been absolutely amazing. But it's that time right now where our VIPs.
I didn't think I would get through it, so I did my best.
I know, but we want you to come back and finish it because I loved everything that you were sharing. It was amazing. And you should see the comments in the chat. People loved it. So what we're going to Hi, are other people coming back?
I assume so. It's time.
Well, it's a minute and a half.
Okay, well, they shut my meeting down.
Okay.
But we had a great time. So I assume people are coming back here any moment.
Wonderful.
And
we'll see people back here. So this is what we're going to do. We've been having a great talk about Maureen's chat, and it's been lovely, really lovely, great shares. What we're going to do is we're going to take a lunch break now. So we're going to do a lunch break, but I want to share something that's up on the dashboard now. It's in your workbook. It's in your workbook, and it's a few pages forward. Where's my workbook?
You want to bring up that slide screen? Can you do that, Chuck? The one that says ask?
On page 18. On page 18 of your workbook.
Oh, there it is. The magic of technology.
On page 18 of your work. Well, that's not the right.
I got it right here, dear.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I have it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So what I want to share with you is that this is in your workbook, but it's also on your dashboard. So it's also available on your dashboard. And what that is tonight's special session where I told you want to be in your seat at 7:25. Do not be late because the session is going to start right at 7:30. And on your dashboard, it's going to explain to you that we have with us Aaron Galito, who channels Jesus. And, there are a lot of channels in the world, but we've listened to Aaron, and she channels specifically A Course in Miracles guidance. And it's quite profound and very insightful. And you have an opportunity here that you can put your question in. And there are some instructions that will be on the dashboard about the questions. But if you put your questions in there, we're going to collect them. And then you have to be here. You may be called upon to have this conversation with her while she is channeling Jesus. And the insights that you can get are quite profound and helpful. So you want to make sure that you take some time to think about that and to put that in the dashboard, to type that in. And then when we come back, Evie Gibbons is going to be with us and is going to lead us through this very profound exercise in the work. We've heard a lot of talk about unblocking. And Maureen was real. Gary and Cindy gave us a great overview of unblocking and how important that is for the beginning. And then Maureen was talking about a lot of how, when you unblock, how we're able to step into those characteristics of teachers of God and what that really means. But the nuts and bolts of how you unblock, we're going to do that after lunch. So you don't want to miss it. It's something that I think is guaranteed to move you forward. And
they want to know
of coming back?
Of Aaron. So
7:30 Eastern.
8:30 Eastern?
No, 7:30 Eastern.
In case you missed it, let me say it with my voice. That ask question, what would you ask Jesus? There's a couple parameters about the question because they don't answer certain questions, but ask question, and Jesus may actually answer your question. So Jesus is one of the presenters at the conference. I'm like, how amazing is that? Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. She didn't want me to say that.
So we're
going
to be gone. We're going to be gone for half an hour.
Half an hour, 30 minutes.
Back.
Get some food.
We'll see you.
Don't eat too heavy.
All right. Listen for love.